Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Up top, Haliburton falls down, turns it over, and this will lead to Gilgeous-Alexander to the other end, where he sends it to Williams for a dunk. And Haliburton is face down in the Indiana offensive end. The trainer, Josh Corbeil, rushes out to take a look, and even a concerned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is checking on Haliburton. Indiana will take a timeout.
That was Pacers Radio. Congratulations, Oklahoma City. They are your NBA champions, Perloff, but that was the moment of the game last night, in my opinion, when Haliburton goes down with the Achilles, reportedly now an Achilles tear. His father said to Lisa Salters it was an Achilles. And we can celebrate the Thunder. They had an amazing season, but let's not pretend like that wasn't the moment of Game 7 last night.
I can't believe you're doing this.
Why?
You're saying that's the moment of the Game 7 of the NBA Finals, an injury to the large underdog? You should be celebrating the Thunder today.
Well, we are celebrating the Thunder. We can celebrate the Thunder, but let's not pretend like, this Pacer team was just flooded with all-star after all-star after all-star. We saw in Game 6, Tyrese Haliburton, as that point guard, really dictates not just the flow of the game, but also the vibe of the game and the belief factor for his team. For him to go down, he was the one injury they could not sustain. They would need an all-time Pascal Siakam game and a bunch of the other role players who have stepped up so huge in these playoffs. But Haliburton is the guy who made you believe they could come back from anything, who kept them in games. And for his Achilles, reportedly, to pop with 4 minutes left to go when he had already hit a couple threes in this game. Yeah, I'm
4 minutes left to go in the first quarter.
First quarter, sorry. Yeah. I can't call it any other way. It's OKC's title. No one's going to take it away from them. But to pretend like that, like nothing else happened and they just won this thing, end of story, that's disingenuous.
Yeah. I have not been a huge fan of this finals matchup. But
We know.
I don't think that's fair at all because OKC, there's statistics, they're the most dominant home team we've seen in many, many years. They were probably going to win that game. I mean, I would say a large, well over 50% chance to win that game. I'd say 80%.
But it's a Game 7 where the cliche is anything that could happen. And by the way,
anything could happen. Even after Haliburton got hurt, anything could happen. It doesn't. I'm just saying, to take that away from the Thunder, I think is unfair.
So there was not any part of you or anyone who's on the show today who, when Haliburton goes down, you thought game's over. Now, it was admirable how the Pacers stayed in the game and they were leading by a point at halftime, and then the third quarter came and it just completely fell apart. And we can get into exactly what happened in the third quarter and regrets, I think, that Indiana's going to have after that third quarter and all of it. But you thought it, I thought it, we all thought it.
I kind of thought, honestly, I was shocked when the way the game started. I thought OKC was going to run them out of the building a little bit because of the home court advantage. When the game actually started, I'm like, oh my God, I know there's some yellow in the crowd. But generally, I'm not sure that third quarter doesn't happen even with Haliburton. This is the OKC Thunder. This is a dominant all-time team. So you can't say they only won. Actually, I don't think we can say they won because Haliburton got hurt. I don't think that's quite fair.
Well, we didn't see the full thing. We didn't see
I
the
agree
real
with that, of
true
course.
Game 7. Right. So it's almost like, you're playing it out on paper. Yeah, they were a big favorite because it's a Game 7 at home because of the historic season. But nothing about the Pacers has been normal. Nothing about this run has been run-of-the-mill. They've been underdogs every single series they've been in, and they've overcome. And here you are in a Game 7. Sure, you're on the road, but they've been an excellent road team.
Yeah, but the Thunder, what's the score in this coming into that game? The Thunder have been much better at home.
That's fine.
In this series.
That's fine. But Haliburton did steal Game 1 in this series. Like, we have the proof of concept that Haliburton made things happen that other people and other underdogs would have never made happen. I mean, they were a historic underdog, and here they were in a Game 7. So I just feel like incomplete. And listen, OKC could go on to win 5 more titles or whatever. And I heard someone say this on the broadcast last night. I forgot who. They said, nothing will ever feel as good as this one. I I don't know about that.
Oh my God, you are going too far. You're bubble trophying them.
No, the bubble title is my least favorite, and I know that gets Laker fans mad, but
yeah, but this is your Michael Jordan went away to play baseball then just because Tyrese Haliburton got hurt. The one thing,
not just because he's the best player on their team.
It's just when Michael Jordan left to play baseball, the Bulls were going to win those titles. I think you have to acknowledge the fact the Pacers were still underdogs in that game. They was tied in the first quarter. The Thunder at home were massive. I think, what was the line at that point? I was trying to live bet this one, and it was still almost a 10-point spread.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a little unfair. I understand listen, of course, when Haliburton went down, it was terrible, and I was like, oh man, we just lost our dramatic Game 7. But I feel like it's a little unfair to take it away from a dominant Thunder team. The numbers on what the Thunder did this year are unparalleled. They have all these great stats. Like, they are the most dominant team, most dominant home team. Yes, it took them 7 games, but they are an elite all-time team statistically. They won 68 games.
I'm not saying that didn't all happen, and I'm not saying that they weren't, air quotes, supposed to win this title. None of that. However, here we were at a Game 7 with one of the most unpredictable now stars / on teetering, maybe on superstar, maybe depending on how this game went last night, with Tyrese Haliburton in a way that stole games and closed games unlike anything we've seen. He hit 4 game winners in this postseason alone, guys. I mean, it's Gatorade commercial stuff, and it's like magical. And then he goes down. And it's funny because I don't know about you, but we knew he was hurt. He got hurt in Game 5. He played so well in Game 6, I almost forgot about it. I almost took it for granted, like, oh, they're going to have a full-strength Haliburton, even though I know that wasn't true. And then the slow-mo popping of the Achilles, reportedly, is just devastating to watch. It's not like a bone breaking through or something gruesome, but it's just, you can see the pain, you can see the frustration. And yeah, I think this is always going to be remembered for me, not, unfortunately, and I'm sorry, OKC, not because it was an amazing wire-to-wire season for them, but because in the most dramatic moments we have in sports, the best player for the other team went down in the first quarter. We're never going to really know.
So I don't do that at all, because I think that for the Kawhi Leonard Raptors series, because KD blew out his Achilles, similar situation, a lot of comparisons there. And that was because the Warriors were the 3-time champion, and the Raptors were the Raptors. I feel like the Pacers were underdogs, so you can't say exactly what you just said. Would you think it's the same thing as the KD series?
I don't, because I thought the circumstances around that were totally different. First of all, because you had a superstar, all-star dynasty team on one side, which neither OKC nor Indiana are, and then you had the Raptors, who were going for their first title ever, yes, but they were the underdogs, not Golden State. And then they end up winning because one of the 4 all-time future Hall of Famers for Golden State, along with their head coach, so make it 5, went down with an injury. And then Clay got hurt, I understand. But no, I didn't see it the same way.
Well, you
the
just
stakes
said
were different too.
Well, you're saying Haliburton was a star. I don't know. I don't think you can say the Thunder only won because Haliburton got hurt, but you could say the Raptors only won because KD got hurt.
No,
I think that's just what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're saying that, but I feel like the two are almost incomparable.
No. I'm not saying the only reason why OKC won is because Haliburton. I'm just saying.
But you said you're going to look back on this and say we got
robbed of like a great Game 7 because Haliburton got hurt, and I would like to have seen what he could have done. I would.
Pull the tape, Nico. Didn't a minute ago, I feel like you went pretty strong. Like, when I look back on this, I'm going to say this series was defined by Haliburton's injury.
I'm just saying, when we look back, it's going to be, what are you going to remember? You're going to say Oklahoma City was the wire-to-wire dominant champ, or you're going to say, well, the best player for the other team got hurt, so we're never going to know how this really could have turned out.
No, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that. Honestly, I probably won't even remember the series in about 3 weeks, but... Sorry, NBA. I know that sounds rough. I'm actually curious, honestly, what happens next. Like, I'm curious. This will also be defined, like, what happens to the Thunder. If they go on for a 5-title run, as you mentioned, then I don't think we'll even remember the Haliburton injury as part of the story, because we'll say, like, okay, they were the best team. They were young. They were coming into their own. So, no, I don't go as strongly into the Haliburton injury as you do. I understand what you're saying. And, yeah, I felt totally robbed last night, but I don't think that's going to define the series, because The Thunder are this all-time team, statistically at least. And they have SGA. They have the MVP.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
I get
Haliburton's,
it.
by the way, I think Haliburton's a good player. I don't think he's like a superstar in my mind.
So I think that's the other part of it that would have made this all time. And that's why you feel robbed of it, is because it's not an MVP versus an MVP. Yeah. It was the MVP and the presumptive favorite who didn't even feel like a real Goliath. We talked about this last week. It wasn't your classic David versus Goliath.
It should have been. It was supposed to be.
Right.
I thought it was going to be.
Right. So then you have on the other side the feel-good story, if you will. The people who could have upset the apple cart. It would have been the greatest upset in terms of like odds that we've ever seen in a finals. And we were right there at a game 7. It's not like we were at a game 5 or game 6 even. To get all the way to a game 7, and then your star is playing well, and then he gets hurt. Like, to me, it's totally different than Warriors Raptors from 6 years ago. Like that Warrior team had titles in the bank already. They were playing with house money. And by the way, the Pacers, are they getting back here? I don't know. At least the Raptors finished the job. Like, they'll always be NBA champions. You can't, I don't know about the Pacers. And Kawhi left, and I don't see the comparisons between the two series.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're very, very different. I was saying that you're getting close to saying it was like KD injury defined the 2019 series. I don't think you can define this series by the Haliburton injury, because I think the better team won. The better team did not win in 2019. The better team won. The dominant team won. Honestly, it's so funny. After the injury, the Thunder was the team that lost all their energy. They basically kind of gave up the rest of the half. They didn't look like themselves. It took forever for them to get back on track, where the Pacers obviously were enthused. I don't know, enthused is the right word. They were fired up. They're like, oh, we got to step in. Pascal Siakam was yelling at the bench. They were playing their best game at the end of the second quarter. They went into halftime with a lead. And the Thunder were dead.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thunder intensity was so weird this series. It came and went. I couldn't understand it. Haliburton could have been out there, and the Thunder could have gone on their famous third quarter run just as easily. Possible, likely. Okay. I mean, they were still a strong favorite.
But here, I could also tell you, if Haliburton's there, maybe he's going on a signature fourth quarter run. Maybe. Again, we're all working at maybes now because of the injury, and that to me is the bummer part of this. Devastating for Haliburton, obviously, with the injury, but bummer for the rest of us because we can maybe this thing to death.
I mean, I think OKC fans are going to be super annoyed if the historical legacy is they won because Haliburton got hurt. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? We were a dominant team. We were still a 10-point favorite at the point that happened. They were still minus 400 to win that game or something like, well, actually, I don't know the number, but they were heavy favorites. So they're going to be like, what are we doing here? It was a home game. It was tied in the first quarter, and we're not even a fast starter. We were going to go on a run. That's what they will say, and I believe them. I am representing OKC here today. No asterisk. No asterisk, Maggie.
I wish I could do it for him. I wish I could. Because I like the story of OKC. I got nothing against them. I've got no dog in this fight at all. You can't tell me you weren't sitting at home on your couch last night, and the moment Tyrese Haliburton popped his Achilles, you thought, oh, it's over.
Of course.
Everyone did. Right. And so, and that's unfair because Haliburton, of all the players in these playoffs, was the one guy you couldn't count out. Ask EJ about the Knicks. And about Haliburton and counting him out. 20 points down, 18 points. I'm sorry to bring up the painful memory, but it paints my point. He was the one guy who could have been the tilter, right? The floor tilter, because you had no idea what he was going to do. And it didn't matter if there was 8 minutes left, 6, 5.3. He found ways to win games, and the rest of the team fed off of that. And then they were robbed of it.
But I think the reality, though, Maggie, and I think this is something that maybe you and other people who are running to this asterisk thing aren't living with, is the Pacers were playing on borrowed time. This guy should not have been playing. Let's just call it like it is.
Yeah.
Like, he was injured. He had a serious, real injury.
Yeah.
And they said this is an injury that usually you need like a month off in order to get ready. And they took the risk and hoped that he could get healthy and play throughout the finals with this injury. Well,
of course he was going to. And
it's
fine, game 6 he looked great.
That's fine, but to me, that's why you can't go to the asterisk or go to the this shouldn't have happened thing, because he should have been off the grid. Like, if they would have played this the way, maybe the safe way to do this, he would not have played at all. So there's no way we probably get to a Game 7. They
Right.
probably lose in Game 6. Or if they get to a Game 7 without him somehow, they get blown out probably in a Game 7, which is kind of what happened anyway.
Yeah.
So this was going to be the result regardless. The series ended when Haliburton got hurt in Game 5, not when he got hurt in Game 7.
I know, but then how do you explain Game 6? You know,
He was able to play for 20 minutes, and he gave them a great 20 minutes, and that's all he had. Physically, that's all he had. He had a calf strain. I feel terrible for this young guy because as much as he pains me as a Knicks fan, like he's a great player and you never want to see this. But I think just think in terms of how we talk about injuries in sports and in the NBA, calf strains are serious.
We know.
I know sometimes I think people hear it and they're like, oh, whatever, get out there and tape it up. This is not a just tape it up and go play thing. This is a you better sit down or else you're going to get seriously hurt thing. And unfortunately for him, that happened. But to me, when we go to, we got robbed of Game 7, we really should have had a Game 7, to be honest.
Yeah, but you know what,
I mean,
EJ, it's like a racing history of what we saw in Game 6, which was, at the time, what we called this really gritty, like amazing win from the Pacers, right? To have your backs against the wall that way, to have a star that's facing a calf injury, and they were awesome. They blew them out.
I also thought the Thunder mailed in that Game 6. There's no doubt. I mean, they were the only real NBA team in the building that time. So the Thunder did not make the trip mentally at all for Game 6. They were awful.
Okay, but whose point does that make? Like,
Yeah.
what do I?
I mean, the
still
Thunder
set
were
up
like-
an amazing Game 7. Like,
Well, right, but the Thunder, you could see in the first quarter, I said this, in the first quarter of Game 6, the Thunder said, okay, we're getting him at home. We'll do our thing then. Just like they did to the Nuggets.
well, that's
I
not
mean-
exactly heart of a champion. I mean,
Well, the
to think
Thunder-
that they waved the white flag on a Game 6
Well, you
of the
saw
NBA
it.
Finals.
Oh, my God, you could
that's a
see
pretty big
SGA
indictment.
Oh, there's no indictment. The Thunder checked out of Game 6. They weren't even trying. That's the thing. Even in Game 7, by the way, the Thunder's intensity.
But that's not making your point of them being an all-time amazing team.
I'm not. I don't think they're an all-time amazing team at all. But I still think they were going to win last night because there was at a certain point, on the road, these role players on the Pacers are not going to hit all those threes, and you had a TJ McConnell dominate the game, right? But those are twos. That takes a lot of twos to dominate the Thunder. You need to really kill them from the outside. So I thought the Thunder had a lot of advantages, and also the one thing is EJ points out Haliburton wasn't going to play 35 minutes last night. At a certain point, you had to rest him a little bit.
I don't know.
I do.
Yeah, 35 minutes would have been tough.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Do you use him in spurts where it could have stopped the run, stopped the bleeding? Because you're right. The first half, Pacers stayed with it. And then the third quarter, basically when Siakam came out of the game is when they made their big run. And I don't know if that's going to be something that Rick Carlisle is going to have to go back and, think about or regret or what have you. But once Haliburton goes down, you needed an all-time Siakam game to actually have a shot at this, and they didn't.
I mean, if I'm a Pacer fan, I'm looking at Rick Carlisle, as great a job he did in this postseason, saying we gave up real assets for this guy, Siakam, who's been our best player in the playoffs.
Yeah,
to
he's
be clear.
amazing.
And he's sitting for the 6 crucial minutes, and we're doing the TJ McConnell show. Like that the game was lost there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was fool's gold to think that TJ McConnell was going to lead you to an NBA championship. He held them and kept them at bay. And he kept the game kind of close. But if you have Siakam out there, maybe they were able to make a run in that third quarter and keep it maybe closer. Maybe they cut it to 4 or 5. Instead, they kept living in this 11-point range because McConnell's playing with nobody.
Well, that
I thought Siakam looked a little worn down at this point. I mean, the dude's been banging for 7 games.
True.
I thought
what
he
are you
was
gonna?
like,
It's Game 7.
though.
Like
Yeah.
this.
no,
is
I'm just
it.
saying, I don't think Siakam was going to be quite as effective. Also, it depends a lot on how they called the game. They started calling it tight. I don't think you're putting a lot on Pascal Siakam. Like this is when the Thunder make their run, in the third quarter, right? That's their jam. And also, the Thunder played pretty crappy last night. If they had played their A game, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Like Jalen Williams was off for a big chunk of the game.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. This finals. This Game 7, I can't say the finals. I mean, I want to, but I want to say this Game 7, where anything could happen, was this more defined to you by OKC dominance, or was it Haliburton's injury? What are you going to remember about this more?
Well, I think that's a fair question, but the better question, when you look back on this series, are you going to think of it more as OKC won it or the Pacers blew it because Haliburton got hurt? Like, yes, today, but I'm curious, legacy-wise,
yes,
are we going to have a giant asterisk next to the series? And I say no because OKC was going to win anyway.
I say yes because it's a Game 7 and you don't know that. I mean, you know what the odds say. You know what Vegas says.
Listen, I didn't know that the Thunder were going to get out of the first round. There's nothing certain in life,
Sure.
of course, but that doesn't mean the asterisk is. I save it for massive, massive reasons. Like I need Jordan out of the league. I need a bubble. I need a worldwide
hopefully
pandemic.
we never go back to the bubble. We never want that.
I need Draymond kicking a guy in the junk and getting kicked out. I just think because OKC was favored, I'm not going to do it exactly. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Yeah, I felt totally robbed when Haliburton got hurt. But still, to call it the defining aspect of the series, I think is unfair to the Thunder.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We doing asterisks today on this title or not? Let us know. By the way, trades going down yesterday. Right before a Game 7, we had Kevin Durant traded from Phoenix to Houston. So how does that change the balance of power in the Western Conference? We've got that for you. We're back up today, guys. The Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, the 4 sports gods from every great sports city in this country, just happens to be Houston today. I swear, I wish we were doing this stuff on purpose. We're not. We planned out the cities weeks ago. And so could Kevin Durant find himself on this Mount Olympus?
What's tomorrow? Is tomorrow San Antonio? Are they going to trade for something? I feel like big news happens to our Mount Olympus team. Whoever's tomorrow should watch out.
All right, 888-710-4ISN. You put an asterisk on this finals because of the Haliburton injury. Let's go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I'm put in a weird spot here today, Maggie. I love putting asterisks next to NBA titles.
Yeah.
It's one of my jams. And people call it the warranty league. I love this because whoever doesn't have their star hurt ends up winning the title. These days, I don't know what's going on in the NBA. I don't know what's going on with the rash of Achilles injuries. But I'm not giving an asterisk to OKC because the better team won at the end of the day. I understand that Haliburton could have pulled off something magical, but that's a pretty big could have to me. So I am not going to remember this series for the Haliburton injury.
Okay, I will, because Haliburton pulling off something magical was what defined this postseason run from the Pacers' point of view. And they, a lot of people said no business being in the finals, no business being, this deep in the finals, a Game 7 against a historic offensive and defensive team like Oklahoma City, and yet here they were. And with Haliburton goes down with 4 minutes left to go in the first quarter, it felt like the game was over. Ostensibly, it was over.
Yep.
But had he been able to play even 25 minutes on a bad calf, I think you would have seen a different game.
Are you asterisking the Nuggets series because Aaron Gordon got hurt too? Who is really a huge part of what the Nuggets were doing this postseason.
This is why this is really hard to compare to others, because Aaron Gordon got hurt, but they still had Jokic. He's a 3-time MVP. Yeah. They still had their other big guns who had already won a championship. Yeah. Halliburton, no disrespect to Siakam, who is the second best guy on the team and who is a champion, they had less firepower once Haliburton went down.
Are you asterisking against Minnesota because they had to deal with Rudy Gobert?
Let's go to Jay, who's in Nashville. Jay, what do you think? Asterisks or no asterisks?
Oh, asterisk all day. And let me tell you why. I mean, first of all, Haliburton came out hot. I mean, they had 3 trays in a row. You know what I mean? And the way that Indiana handled OKC all the way to the end of the half. I mean, with that effort combined with Haliburton in there and Haliburton's ball handling, because remember, by the time I turned the TV off, they had 21 turnovers. Why? Because they didn't have their ball handler, in Haliburton. They didn't have a ball handler. They didn't have their hot hand. They didn't have their X factor. And the thing about it, they were still able to hang with OKC. I mean, OKC was like a stale-fish until the second half. You know what I mean? Because basically the turnovers were killing Indiana.
Yeah, but Jay, that happened in Game 1 too, where the Thunder had turned over the Pacers in other games in the series too. It wasn't like even with Haliburton out there, they did have a ton of turnovers in certain nights.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about Game 1. We're talking about Game 7 right here with all the pressure online and everything. And the way Haliburton came out, it was like he was ready to win. He was ready to put it to him. And if any OKC fan got a problem with somebody saying, yeah, but Haliburton got hurt, it was like, shut up and take that W. Go sit down. Because that is the truth. Shut up, take that W. Oh, also, I'm kind of sad for Kevin Durant. I thought he was going to the Spurs. But instead, they send him to Houston, which has an HIV breakout, and it's kind of like, damn, you can't even go play basketball, have fun in this city. But
Jay,
I mean,
we have no idea what you're talking about. I've
No,
never
that's
heard
a real
any
thing.
of that.
That is a real thing. It's a real thing. It's been all over all weekend. But that's neither here nor there. But I just had to put that out there.
Good.
No, you can look that up. You can definitely look that up. But like I said, it's definitely in the asterisk. And like I said, 21 turnovers without their ball handler. You know what I mean? And they still hung with them till the half.
Yeah, 13,
you know what I mean?
13 turnovers in the second half as opposed to 8 in the first half. And Jay, turnovers and points off turnovers have been a story. Thanks for the call, dude. Good to hear from you. Always bringing something to the show, Jay. Yeah, the turnovers were a big part of this. And even it was really that third quarter, where this sort of got out of hand. And that's where OKC was really turning over Indiana and put a lot of distance between them. Steve's in San Diego. What's up, Steve?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, being a Warrior fan, recalling that 2019 final when KD went down, cost them the title because in my mind they would have had a three-peat. But them is a tough breaks. Great season, actually improbable season for the Pacers. They would have pulled it off. I mean, they won by strength in numbers. As great as Haliburton is their persona was always winning regardless. It was Haliburton. As tough it is for them to swallow, I still do think that OKC won it fair and square. No check mark on that. You just got to give your cap. And unfortunate for Haliburton, hopefully he's able to come back at some point next season. But guys, it's just them is a tough breaks, man. And I know as a Warrior fan how tough it was to see KD going down and losing that title in the last final game at Oracle to Toronto. But hey, they won it fair and square, and that's how it's got to be. Now, as far as OKC, a lot of people are going to say dynasty guys, but I don't know about that. I just think now with the new salary cap formula and the way the owners put it in place to prevent teams stacking players and titles, I don't know. They're going to be great. They're going to be fun to watch, but, I mean, it's going to be so tough to repeat. They probably should have lost to Denver in the semifinal round, so I don't know. They're going to win a couple more titles, but I don't think they're going to be a dynasty. Just I want to get your opinions on that. Thanks.
Yeah, Steve, it's a good point. I mean, basically the rules of the NBA have changed to make it really hard to just keep your best guys. It's not even that you're going out and signing super teams now. Just keeping your own guys can be impossible.
But the Thunder are well placed because everyone's under contract. Everyone's coming back. Almost everyone is young. Caruso's a little bit older. And nobody else can form a traditional super team to take them down. So they might be able to take advantage of this cap. I personally, something just happens. Something always happens. You mentioned earlier, Boston fell apart last year because they've been playing so much basketball. I mean, listen, it's draft time. It's June 23rd. Maybe that gets to the Thunder. Maybe that's why they fall. I don't know why the Thunder are probably not going to repeat. But it feels like an obvious repeat now. Something always happens in the NBA. I can't figure it out.
Well, hopefully not an Achilles because that's just been a epidemic now in the league. But, they mentioned last night, I think, on the radio broadcast that the Game 7 that OKC won against the Nuggets happened 5 weeks ago.
Oh, I know.
Like, this is how much the other teams have been resting. Draymond Green had said this on his podcast once a while ago. Going to the finals and losing is the absolute worst thing that could happen because you've done all of this extra, you've played all these extra games, you got nothing to show for it, and you basically turn around in like 4 weeks and get back up training again.
Oh, I know.
There's no downtime.
Well, and the Pacers have the Achilles injury too. That is just terrible. But it is kind of exciting for the rest of the East. We have 5 people right here right now. Can we form a team and come out of the East next year? I mean, it is. I can't believe it. Just wait. LeBron is seeing everything that's happening in the East, and he is going to demand a trade to the East because
Which
the
team?
East, Cleveland maybe. The East is so. I'm half joking, but the East is a mess right now. I mean, it's a disaster. No Tatum, no Haliburton,
no Dame.
Well, yeah, Dame. We'll see if Giannis stays in the East. That's something, but and KD didn't even go to Miami. I wonder if now that the Pacers are probably out of it next year, if he regrets that. Oh, my God, this is crazy.
The Dame Achilles, by the way, feels like he was a Blazer still. Like, that's how long ago that felt. Like, when the graphics started popping up last night, I'm like, that happened in this postseason?
I know. Well, these Achilles have just been awful. What was it, 8 this season? Did they say? Different players?
Yeah. That's
just the worst.
Terrible. I was actually looking last night. I was Googling Jalen Green's game log because he got traded, and they went down to April 15th. I was like, that was tax day. That was a whole different season.
It was snow on the ground here.
Yeah.
It felt like it.
What? And the draft is like tomorrow. EJ, is it the
Wednesday.
closest the draft's ever been to the finals? I mean,
It feels like it, right? Sunday to Wednesday. Drafts moved up a little bit because now they're doing a 2-day draft. So it's bizarre.
yeah, the finals used to go sometimes. Did it go into July with Kobe one time? I remember. It always goes way too late. The NBA season is a month too long.
Let's get to Bogusch with headlines. What's up, Bogusch?
Your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Let's throw another drought. Seattle/Oklahoma City has its first NBA title since 1979. The Thunder finally closing out those Pacers in Game 7 last night after a 22-point lead was cut to 10 with 2:16 left, and long after Tyrese Haliburton's right Achilles popped in the first quarter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander adding Finals MVP to his remarkable season with 29 points and 12 assists last night.
It doesn't feel real. So many hours, so many moments, so many emotions, so many nights of disbelief, so many nights of belief. It's crazy to know that we're all here, but this group worked for it. This group put in the hours, and we deserve this.
That was SGA and some friends on ABC after the 103-91 clincher, improving home teams to 16-4 in Game 7 in the finals. Last night couldn't have started better for Indy, though, with Haliburton hitting 3 threes for an 18-16 lead. But then that right leg gave out on a move to the hoop, leaving Haliburton on the court in tears. There aren't many bigger gut punches, says TJ McConnell.
It's hard to do when you see your guy go down like that and have to move on right away and finish the game, especially when it's that early.
That being said, the Pacers led by 1 at the half, but then the Thunder won the third quarter 34-20 with Indy committing 8 turnovers. McConnell scored 12 in that period, but for a while, no other Pacer scored, so OKC kept building the lead. Benedict Mathurin ended up Indy's leading scorer with 24. Pascal Siakam, as you guys have discussed, just 16 points last night, 5 of 13 shooting. Back on the Thunder side, they'll parade through OKC tomorrow. Game 7 overshadowed for a bit yesterday by Kevin Durant's move to Houston, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick later this week, and 5 second-rounders go to Phoenix. The deal, though, not official until July 6th. So we're going to go through the guise of the Rockets actually making that pick on Wednesday night, right? And assuming that kid is not a Sun at the moment.
Yes. Oh, so he's going to have to stand there with the Rockets hat on?
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do this whole charade?
Yeah,
Wow.
right?
Yes.
And the Suns might move that pick too, by the way.
Well, so that's what I was wondering. Like, if
so he could be 3 teams away from where he's actually going.
But that's what I meant. Like, I don't know the mechanics of that. Like, can Phoenix do anything with that pick? Because it's technically not theirs.
Oh, that's a great
question. When the draft happens. Like, if they wanted to make another trade,
right.
Can they use that trade, that pick?
Can they create a hat that just has a giant question mark on it?
Remember, like, when Rob Lowe was spotted in an NFL game wearing an NFL hat just to put the NBA
draft
logo?
Son, you're going to wear an NBA hat. Yeah.
Just the Jerry West on there. What's crazy to me about the NBA draft about this is that the NFL figured this out long ago. We do the entire NFL draft. These complicated trades get made, and nobody's ever up there with the wrong shirt on.
Right.
Well, Eli.
Okay.
No, but not for this.
20 years ago.
The problem here
Yeah.
is that the NFL's league year begins before the draft.
Right.
The problem with the NBA is the new league years don't begin until after the draft.
Oh,
and
okay.
these deals can't happen until the new league year.
Yeah, which no one cares about.
So we're
That's
in this
like a
weird
bookkeeping
purgatory thing.
Why can't it be like I understand because the finals just ended last night, but I mean.
Well, did Travis Hunter have a Jags hat when he got out there? Like, right, they made the trade.
Yes.
So they made the trade in that 10-minute window because I know they waited for Cam Ward to officially go.
Right.
You're right. They're much better at this.
They've just figured it out. And yeah, you're right. It's probably the league year for the NFL starts in March, and then for the NBA, it's July. But
you can't discount how awkward that Eli Archie Chargers interview was. That's the all-time.
Oh, yeah. The interview was cringe.
Yeah. In the NBA, we're used to guys wearing the wrong hats. Like, we know the drill, at least.
it's just you have to be freaking Einstein to figure out who has these picks and where they go and when they vest and who's swapping what with who. Like, I guarantee there are general managers in the NBA who are not quite certain about the picks they have.
The Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, well, they're a bunch of. Well, we'll get to that.
I was gonna say though, I almost feel like the NBA should have something kind of like you see in baseball with like the IL, where it's like this move is retroactive till whatever. So like, I feel like they should say, hey, like this move is gonna happen on July 6th. But here, where the Suns at, because that's where you're going. You know, like you can acknowledge, hey, like yes, we can't officially make the trade official, so to speak, but like this move will be official on this day, so therefore here's the hat.
Right, because they're the governing body. There's like not some outside.
Up to them.
Right, they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, they're choosing to make this more complicated and more hard to follow.
But I agree with Maggie. The whole thing is so complicated. I read that Oklahoma City Thunder get like the Grizzlies pick. If the Grizzlies win between 32 and 38 games, and there's a full moon on draft night, and like there's so many caveats. Again. There's so many caveats on these picks. I don't understand what the heck is going on.
Yeah, it's only if John Moran happens to be at Shotgun Willie's in the champagne room while the pick is being made.
If you want to get confused, read the Thunder's draft capital. It's all bids. If the Sixers end up between picks 7 and 12, the Thunder get it. If it goes between 12 and anyway.
Remember poor Kevin Nagandi at the draft lottery? He's a Sixer fan.
That's crazy.
They don't get the pick. And it's like in there, you can tell someone's in his ears like, Kevin, they do get the pick.
But in 2028, they swap if Las Vegas has an expansion team. I don't even know what's going on.
For 2 seasons, I was following the Pistons just because the Knicks had their pick. And it was like, oh, if they're top 10, then you don't get it. And I'm like, I wish things were just more simpler.
There's a team, I think it's New Orleans, has if they finish past number 8 in the league, then they give up their first round pick. Do not expect New Orleans to win a single game next time. They are going to. The teams who are protected, they act accordingly. Like, you'll lose if you're going to lose the pick.
I mean, the Pelicans, talk about bad luck. They traded the Pacers' first round pick next year to get their pick back this year. Because they're thinking the Pacers, they're an Eastern Conference power. They're probably better next year.
Yeah, now the Pacers oh, my goodness.
So, like, they have the 23rd pick this year, when in reality, that pick that they traded probably could be in the lottery.
No, I think the Pacers are going to be fine. TJ McConnell is going to step up to the superstardom.
Yes. We've just scratched the surface on TJ McConnell 10 years in.
Dude just scored 16 straight points in the third quarter of an NBA final game.
Yeah, they
superstar.
They lost that quarter by 14 points. Or 12, whatever it was.
14, you're right.
Yeah.
That was the NBA. That was a game 7 of the NBA finals that TJ McConnell was dominating.
It was probably the biggest mistake of Rick Carlisle's life to leave him out there that long.
Oh, I thought, wow.
Yeah, not to leave him out there, but to run the entire offense through him and not get Siakam back in the game.
That wasn't the problem. Let's not say anything negative about TJ McConnell today. Siakam wasn't going to do anything anyway. That game was over when Haliburton got hurt.
NBA champion and Pascal Siakam wasn't going to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I was never arguing you. I didn't think like, Haliburton got hurt. This is still a game. I agree. When Haliburton got hurt, it was over. But I still think the Thunder were going to win with Haliburton out there anyway.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, they were heavy favorites. Trust me. I was trying to get some action on this game.
I know. This is always about Perloff trying to live bet.
Yeah.
And it never works. Folks, sorry, we got to leave it right there. Coming up, we see you guys on the phones. Are you putting an asterisk on this title for OKC? Also, the big Kevin Durant trade that went down yesterday is going to lead to a championship for Houston. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
OKC wins the title, but Tyrese Haliburton got hurt in the first quarter, so kind of threw a shadow over the whole game. Now, OKC is the rightful champs, but it's a big storyline. To ignore it would be crazy. Welcome to the show.
You're putting a lot of emphasis on that but. I feel like a little too much for my liking.
It's like a Brazilian butt lift, but
no, I just think they're like, the Thunder won the title, but I just think it's a little unfair. I think you're going too far.
Okay, so
anti-Thunder.
Wait. So what? So when do you mention the but? Like, how many sentences into the story do you need to go before then you get to Tyrese Haliburton suffering this injury?
I would say the Oklahoma City Thunder had the, I think, first player to win regular season MVP, finals MVP, and the scoring title, maybe ever, SGA historic. They had the biggest point differential in NBA history, not just recently, NBA history. They're one of 4 teams to ever win 88 games, all-time teams. They had the best turnover differential in a playoff ever in NBA history. There's so many things that are incredible about this Thunder team. Yes, I'm not doing but. Yes, they were lucky that Haliburton got hurt.
Okay.
But I think they were going to win the series anyway.
So I guess, and I'm not trying to do that, you won it in 7 thing, because you do have another team on the other side. But
you know where she's going.
No, but you're giving me all these all-time historic, like they are 444, or like they are the Lakers in 2000 or something. That's not what we saw.
Are you calling them the Noah Lyles of the NBA champions? That's what I'm hearing.
I don't. You tried to draw me into that on social media. I was like, you don't understand. I can't do this on social.
Well, you just said, they did take 7 games to win it.
You're just giving me all this dominant, the point differential, and you're statsing me to death. And I'm looking at one stat, which was Game 7, and by the way, trailing at half. So what's this dominant force? You had Stephen A. Smith at halftime screaming about how nobody is stepping up to put their foot on the throat of the Indiana Pacers. Now they finally did that in the third quarter, and so that's all good. But I mean, if you're giving me all-time dominance, I'm thinking Shaq and Kobe. I'm thinking some of the amazing teams, and maybe this will go down as one of them, but not off of this run.
No, I know. I was just trying to counter they only won because Tyrese Haliburton got hurt energy.
Well, please don't bring up Noah Lyles. The fact I said that he's calling himself the fastest man alive when he won a race by 1/100th of a second got me in real trouble. So I got to back away.
Yeah. Do you know the Seinfeld joke when Costanza gets really smart in one episode and he's sitting there taking batting practice with Jeter and Bernie Williams and they say, he's giving them tips and they're like, well, we did win the World Series last year. He's like, yeah, in 6 games.
I felt like I was giving you that energy.
Yeah. No,
but I'm giving it back to you.
I understand what you're saying.
Let's go to, is this Travis in Milwaukee? Travi, I'm sorry. Travi, what's up, dude?
Hey, no problem, man. Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys. You guys, the first time, long time, you guys are awesome. So thank you for taking this. I just wanted to make one point on the finals here, and then the asterisks in general. Like, I just believe that if you're going to put an asterisk next to OKC, you kind of have to put an asterisk next to Indiana's entire run this year. I mean, if it's based on injuries, and that's what this asterisk is going to be going down as, I mean, it's coming from, from the Bucks side, Dame being hurt. Cleveland, I think it was Darius Garland was out for a little while. But
and Mobley.
Was gassed back in. Yeah, and Mobley. I can't remember if New York had anybody out.
Yeah, Towns was playing at not 100%, but he was playing.
Yeah, but Travi, though, the OKC had tons of injuries on the other side, too. Obviously, Aaron Gordon. Curry, if Curry was healthy in this playoffs, he got hurt. I can't remember. It was just like 6 months ago. Didn't he get hurt at some point? The fact that Luka wasn't really used to the Lakers yet, there's all sorts of asterisks on both sides, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you're going to define this as a asterisk for OKC, in my opinion, I think you got to give an asterisk to the Pacers' whole run. That's all I got to say. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks, Travi. Appreciate you making that call.
See, the Knicks were healthy enough that I'm not going to quite judge that series.
No, last year the Knicks got super hurt. Jalen Brunson broke his hand and all of that. They were like decimated by the end. I didn't think of the Knicks as being a hurt team. Yes, I understand Towns was not 100%, but he was still playing a lot.
No, I think the Thunder, I would argue the Thunder beat them fair and square. The Pacers beat them.
Yeah. Sorry, Cleveland, I get.
I honestly think like Darius Garland was out there. I think the Pacers just destroyed them so badly that I don't even give that an asterisk. That was, 5 games? And
the
it
first
wasn't
2 games,
close.
though, you didn't have Mobley or
Garland.
That's huge.
You did have Donovan Mitchell, but I get what you're saying.
I don't know. It felt like as they look back. See, I'm not a big Cavs fan. I feel like the Cavs keep coming up really small in the playoffs. I'm not gonna buy that excuse.
We'll wait till they get LeBron James.
Yeah, again.
For the third time.
Somebody pointed to them as the big winners of all this. Like now, the Cavs have no excuse not to get out of the East. But again, I'm not quite there. I look at the Knicks as the team that. Not to look ahead.
Who's going to be their coach?
Whew, that's a great question. Mike Brown's won an NBA title. Has he? Has he?
Yeah.
He's been to
he never won as a head coach? I can't even remember at this point.
As assistant, he's with Steve Kerr.
Yeah. They want to see if
Taylor
Carlisle's
Jenkins. I feel good about Knicks head coaching candidates. I'm not worried about that at all.
Well, why we're even talking about the Knicks is just the fact that the Eastern Conference now has stars who are injured up and down. So does this sort of open a door for somebody? Okay, we have to get to the Kevin Durant trade, and of course, more of your phone calls on the finals, 888-710-4ISN. Are you putting an asterisk next to this one for OKC because Haliburton got hurt in the first quarter and was playing with an injury since Game 5? And who won the Durant trade? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Thunder fans feel this moment. The uncommon young team proves to be unstoppable. It's over at Paycom Center. Final in Game 7, the Thunder 103, the Pacers 91. A dream realized. The storybook season is complete. The final chapter reads, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 2025 NBA champions.
Matt Pinto on Thunder Radio. Exciting, young team on the rise. They get it done last night. And yet, I still believe that a huge part of this story is not just the Thunder dominance, but how the Game 7 Pearl played out with Tyrese Haliburton popping his Achilles tendon reportedly in the first quarter. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I think I'm being a little harsher on OKC than you are this morning.
Yeah, I believe me. I was just as disappointed, and it was really hard to watch. I actually think they showed it too often. You mentioned on social media, just to see that pop was heartbreaking.
In slow-mo.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So painful.
But here's the thing. OKC was probably going to win that game. I don't think we can lose sight of that. It was at home. They're unbeatable after a loss. They're unbeatable at home. Their defense is eventually going to get to you. And I know Haliburton has been great, but Haliburton was diminished, Maggie, too. Like, even in that Game 6, he only scored 14 points. You can't play him 40 minutes. So I think the Thunder still had a great chance to win that game.
I know, but see, this is what I loved about the Pacers' run. It was so unexpected. Even going back to, no one thought they were going to beat Milwaukee. Nobody thought they were going to beat the Cavs. Nobody thought they were going to beat the Knicks. Nobody thought that they would even hang with this Oklahoma City team, right? It was though they're going to lose in 5 or 4.
No one said no one thought they were going to beat the Knicks. That was different. The Knicks had 51 wins and they had 50 wins. That was a coin toss. But
okay,
go ahead.
But the Knicks had the home court advantage, and the Knicks were favored in that series.
Yeah,
and
but it's a little different what's happening here.
Okay, but Oklahoma City, it was most people thought either a sweep or gentleman sweep, right? And
yes.
that the Pacers were just happy to be here. Well, they found themselves in a Game 7, and this was the one type of Pacer team that was almost like, like a Michael Myers type of thing. Like, you couldn't kill this team. And Tyrese Haliburton was the face of that because of all the game winners that he's hit over this postseason. I mean, he's completely transformed himself. Is he a superstar? Is he just a star? We can argue about that another time. He was the one guy you were most afraid of because of the daggers that he had put in teams in this postseason, and including Oklahoma City in Game 1, where they won a game they had no business winning.
So you thought this was going to be a toss-up game?
I did.
Really? It's funny. Most people I thought the Thunder were going to win this game.
Well, I mean, they lost Haliburton, and the Pacers were still up by a point at halftime. Like, there was nothing about this that screamed blowout to me.
No, I know. It actually really wasn't even a blowout. But the thing is, the Pacers, Haliburton hit how many threes? 3? Mm-hmm. And they were still basically tied. So actually, I'm not sure that the Pacers, because the other guys were not hitting threes, I'm not sure that they were going to have enough firepower to outlast that game. And the Thunder, when Haliburton got hurt, they lost their energy. They were clearly out of it for about a quarter. But at some point, Jalen Williams was going to play like Jalen Williams. At some point, SGA was going to play like SGA. I think the Thunder, at a certain point, we're going to have a run. They are a great team.
Yeah, they are a great team. But to me, there was nothing inevitable about the Thunder in this Game 7. You want to say throughout the season and how great they were, but this was a Game 7 where you just said it yourself. How weird is it what you just said? Haliburton got hurt, and OKC all of a sudden was on their heels. That's the opposite of how it should be. The Pacers should have been the ones who were reeling, and OKC should have seen the moment to step on the throat, and they couldn't do it until the third quarter, which they did.
Which they might have done anyway, because that's their MO.
Fine. I just would have liked to have seen what Haliburton could have done in this game had he stayed healthy. Because
but will you give me this? In Game 6,
yeah,
early in the game.
It was a blowout.
It was a blowout.
Indiana won at home, and so Haliburton didn't have to play the fourth quarter.
Did you think for 1 second that OKC looked nervous about that blowout? No, because they knew they were getting the Pacers at home in the next game. They looked like they didn't even care. They looked like they were walking through the park in the second half of that game because they had just been through it with Denver 2 series before. They knew, hey, we get them back at OKC. That is where we were unbelievable.
But did they look unbelievable to you in the first half?
No, but they never, even said the fact they never really looked that great in the first half. They are just relentless on defense. I mean, their defense eventually gets to you. That's how, the Pacers, to their credit, are so deep that it hasn't worked out that way necessarily. But why wouldn't they get those turnovers even if SJA was in there? Eventually, their defense is like a vice, and it cracks you.
I understand that, but I also watched a game in which the Pacers turned the ball over like 23 times and still miraculously won. Now, granted, that's with a fully healthy Tyrese Haliburton. He was not even fully healthy going into this game.
You said the word miraculously.
Well, but that's how the Pacers have kind of lived and died in this postseason. And why wouldn't I think there's a little more magic or a little more heroics for Game 7? It's not like they had to now win another best of 7. We're here at a 1-game do or die, and we just never really got the full thing.
No, I agree with that, but I still think the Thunder were going to win.
Do you think there's an asterisk now on this finals? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. There was a moment last night, did you see, where Rick Carlisle, who we can really, pick apart if we want to, a guy who's going to be a Hall of Fame coach, but how he played the third quarter with riding with TJ McConnell, who, granted, was hitting buckets, but the lead for OKC was like going deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Tell me, TJ McConnell had one of the great 5-minute finals runs in NBA history. He almost broke the will of the Thunder. He get 5. How many shots in a row did he hit? 5?
At one point, he was on a personal 10-0 scoring run. I know that. But meanwhile, the lead for OKC kept building and building and building in that third quarter because Pascal Siakam wasn't on the floor for enough of that third quarter.
Oh, okay. If Siakam was out there, then the Thunder weren't going to go on that run. You just said the game was over when Haliburton got hurt.
Well, maybe, but they would have needed an all-time game from Pascal Siakam. And then when the Thunder are going on that signature third quarter run, Siakam's on the bench. And it just felt crazy to me that in the third quarter, Pascal Siakam, let me get to the traditional metrics here for 1 second. Pascal Siakam took 2 shots, hit 1 3, had no free throw attempts, scored 3 points, and was a -12 in the quarter. Like, it just...
He was a -12, so get him out of there.
That, to me, though, was just... I mean, TJ McConnell was a -8, and he was 6 for 7. Like, that's the part of it that I felt like was crazy. There's no way that TJ McConnell is actually single-handedly winning you the finals. He's not doing that.
Right, but I'm sorry, Pascal Siakam, did I miss something? Is he the new Giannis? Like, what is he all of a sudden Michael Jordan? Like, what is Siakam going to do? You said the game was over when Haliburton got hurt. So you can't have this, well, they didn't play Siakam enough.
So I thought the game was over when Haliburton got hurt. The only way that Indiana was going to win this game is if Siakam had an all-time game. And he wasn't able to do that. And it's weird, in the third quarter, he wasn't even on the court long enough to do that. So he played 6 minutes and 43 seconds of the third quarter. So
some of Siakam's all-time games came because the defense was not focused on him, right? He's always been the B player.
Right, but he still is the second best player on the team, is he not?
Right. But when he has to step in that role, the first best player, the primary guy, then it's a different ball game for him. He's not playing off Kawhi or Haliburton.
Sure. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. The other moment was before the game when Oklahoma City had the double-decker buses all lined up in the arena, and Rick Carlisle said, this is going to go viral.
Yep.
And I can't think of anything else except for the fact that they have like the parade buses already like lined up.
Yeah, I thought the Thunder got a lot of crap for that, but I got to tell you, there's somebody in the grounds crew who's like, yes, I don't have to do that today. One last thing on the to-do list. Check. Thank you. I mean, how convenient is it the buses are ready? It looked bad last night, but after the win.
Well, that person would have probably been run out of town with pitchforks if the OKC lost that game.
True, but now everyone's like, Bill, are you going to be up all night painting the buses? Nope. done.
You know what's funny though is that Carlisle was so mad, but there's some person in Indiana who was doing the exact
Painting
same
the buses,
thing.
right? Wrapping the buses, getting the champagne. What are they going to do with all that champagne?
I know he wasn't dumb enough to put a video up on social media, being like, "Here's what's coming on Tuesday."
I don't think it was the grounds crew or whoever the team that put that out. I think it was somebody else who wasn't supposed to be there. Funny thing is, I saw the video. There are these buses. They're painted in blue and say, and I didn't even notice anything about them. I thought they were just Thunder buses. I thought it was a video of somebody taking the air out of the Thunder buses' tires. I was like, whoa, they're going after their tires before the game. I didn't know what it was. I'm an idiot.
You thought that was just a run-of-the-mill team bus?
Yeah, because actually, if you look at it, it's the same color scheme as the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's just a blue.
Right, but
you
also
think the Thunder are arriving at the
I was going to say, it's not an NFL game where the guys sleep at the hotel the night before. For the NBA, they all just come in their own cars.
But what are those buses? Why are they there? Those are
they're going to be in the parade.
Buses.
Yeah, but normally, though, so they actually keep the parade buses in the arena?
Well, I don't think anyone knew that until the video.
Yeah. Is that somewhere else?
I mean, they won't keep them there anymore. We'll never see a parade bus in an arena for the history of time after this happens.
Although it could be good luck. I mean, it worked out for OKC.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that's how that works, that they have that many team buses.
I'll be real. I never noticed the buses being decorated during parades. I just thought they were on regular-ass buses or regular floats. I never thought, like when the Liberty had their title, I didn't even look to see what the bus looked like.
But don't the buses have to have a top that especially, do you just use any old bus?
These were double-decker buses.
Right.
The top's got to be open.
So clearly the Thunder don't own that many double-decker buses.
They're renting them.
They're renting them, but couldn't they have kept them in a warehouse somewhere?
I don't know. But how's someone from the crowd going to toss you a beer, or if you're Howie Roseman, the GM of the Eagles, get hit in the head with a beer at the championship parade if you don't have an open-air bus?
Right. But also, I've been in a lot of tunnels. Is there enough room for a bunch of double-decker buses? Not usually.
Oh.
That's probably why someone was able to get in there and get pictures, because they're like, hey, there's buses here. We can't get out of this tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
They were lined up, man. Meanwhile, they're going to be lining the streets of OKC on Wednesday, right? Wednesday is the parade.
Bill got a full night's rest because he already painted the buses.
Someone's like, attaboy.
Yeah.
Way to get in front of that to-do list.
They laughed at me last night. Who is going home early?
They wrote me off. They didn't write me back, though.
Yeah, it's Geno Smith somehow, was it?
Yeah, the bus painter guy. Yeah.
He does it in off seasons.
Okay, 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Are you putting an asterisk by this OKC title because of the Haliburton injury? Me, yes.
Oh,
yes, I am.
So mean.
So not fun, Maggie.
Yeah, that is really mean.
Listen, do you think it's fun that Haliburton had snapped his Achilles? Like, the sports gods just sort of, they wouldn't let OKC have good things. Because we're always going to wonder what.
No, we're not.
Some of us are.
Always
Who's with me?
Yeah, I just can't do it.
What else is this finals defined by? You saw Caruso try to go up for the all-time yammer down. That would have been.
That's like me trying to. I was thinking about the analogy for that is Caruso's missed dunk. That was me trying to date a supermodel in my 20s. Like, he had no prayer. But he went for
Cindy
it.
Crawford.
He went up with such confidence and authority that this, it was a missed shot that he was going to just yam home for this dunk. That would have been the moment, right?
Oh my God! But it would have been, but it was a joke, right? I mean,
well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Even you have said it was kind of a boring style of play. I didn't agree with you so much on that, but we're a little light on highlights.
Yeah. Well, that. What do you mean you disagree with me? We're light on highlights, but it was not a boring style play. A grind them out defensive battle.
Okay, but then you're telling me this is one of the great teams in the history of the NBA.
I'm not telling you that. I was just arguing against you by saying. I'm just saying, give them some credit. Yeah, the numbers say they're a great team. Mostly fueled by defense. That's their special sauce, is that they're an incredible defensive team.
Okay, but I'm just saying, if you're looking for things that define this series, I think the Haliburton injury is 1B. 888-710, besides the defense. 888-710-4ISN. We've got a Durant trade for you. We're asking who won the trade. We'll get to that. Is there an asterisk by this final? And then just by happenstance, Durant gets traded to the Houston Rockets yesterday. Today's Maggie Perloff Mount Olympus, the four sports gods of every great sports city in this country, happens to be Houston. So we're going to do that next. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Can't believe you're doing this, Mag. Maggie wants to put an asterisk next to the NBA Finals because Tyrese Haliburton got hurt last night in Game 7. I do not think it's asterisk worthy because the Thunder were the favorite. If it was an even matchup, then I would give an asterisk. I understand that, but I still think the Thunder were going to wear them out at home and win that game.
Can I tell you what the results are from America so far on our poll at X at Maggie and Pearl? When you look back at the 2025 NBA Finals, how will you remember it? OKC winning its first title, Indiana losing Haliburton. It's 53% to 47%. Like, it's not so overwhelmingly, at least these early returns, that this was all about OKC. Like, the matchups make the fights. So we always say about boxing. I think this is a similar type of thing. You had two teams that had made it all the way to a Game 7. One team, throughout what they shown through the regular season, should have dominated this other team.
Right.
They weren't. By any stretch, they were not. Best player suffers an injury. They win Game 6 despite that. Now you set up a Game 7. I wasn't even thinking really about Haliburton's injury, and maybe that's a bad job by me. But I thought this was setting up to be an anyone could have taken it. Like you don't know. And especially with the way Haliburton had been leading the Pacers to these comeback wins and improbable wins. And he goes down, and we didn't even get the cool Game 7 I think a lot of us thought we were going to get.
I think you were in the minority, though, who you said you came. So you came into that game expecting it to be some dramatic finish. I think the majority thought, oh, the Thunder have done this before. They've played with their food and gotten to Game 7, and they're going to win at home. Because all the metrics say, yeah, they're really hard to beat at home.
But don't you think there's a reality to the fact that there's all the pressure now on the home team in a Game 7? I mean, there's pressure on both sides. It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It doesn't get any bigger for the sport. But, I mean, you come out and you miss a couple shots, all of a sudden the crowd starts, getting a little nervous, and you're supposed to win. Like we saw it after the Haliburton injury. OKC didn't go on their big run right then. It took them like an extra 30, 35 minutes plus a halftime to get their heads out of their butts.
But in the Game 6 and some of the other at home, the Pacers couldn't miss a three-pointer. Was that going to happen last night? It's kind of, Haliburton did hit his first three-pointers, but I don't think Nesmith and all those other guys are going to, not everybody on, the role players were not going to be hot.
But they feed off of Haliburton, though.
I don't think over the course of a whole game that they were going to be able to do that. And honestly, the Thunder didn't play great. There's no doubt about that. They lost their energy after Haliburton got hurt, and they didn't shoot well either.
To me, it was there for the taking, potentially, but they couldn't do it. Mike's in Washington. Mike, you disagree with me. There's no asterisks here for OKC.
No, because it's a team sport, and if you lose one person, you should still be able to win with the rest of your people. So if you can't win just because you lose one player.
Yeah. Do you think that in all sports, though, Mike? Like if the Kansas City Chiefs lost Patrick Mahomes in the first quarter of the Super Bowl,
that's not fair, Maggie. You can't say the quarterback. Say a baseball. For example.
But this is as close because basketball is a 5-on-5 sport where one player can have a very outsized impact on the game. I think it is actually applicable to a quarterback. And Haliburton's a pass-first point guard, so it's even more like a quarterback on offense.
They blew out the Thunder, and they got 20 minutes out of Haliburton in Game 6. They killed them.
Well, that's you said because OKC no-showed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
But, no, I'm...
But, Mike, I'm just curious. Do you think this in all sports?
Yeah.
Do you think it in all sports? So no matter who gets hurt at any time, you think no excuses?
Well, it's like Pete Carroll would say. It's not how you start the game, it's how you finish. And you should be able to lose a player and still win a game if you got a good team and you play team sport. Because I don't care what sport it is. If it's a team sport, it's a team sport. Right. So when next guy up, like they say, next guy up.
Mike, thank you for that. Funny that Pete Carroll's signature quote is, "It's not how you start, it's how you finish." Woof. And I love Carroll. We'll talk about the Raiders in a little bit because they had some news come out over the weekend, but about why they did not pursue Sam Darnold as a quarterback this offseason. But for Pete Carroll, that's a tough one.
I was going to say, did Bill Buckner have a book on how to field grounders?
I was going to say, we're all thinking it. Malcolm Butler at the goal line. Okay, let's leave that right there.
Yep.
We've got to turn our attention now to the Mount Olympus project. Maggie and Perloff determine the 4 sports gods of every city.
It's time to feast your ears on Maggie and Perloff's Mount Olympus.
All right, well, I don't think Kevin Durant is going to be on a Houston Mount Olympus anytime soon. He's the newest star, though, to hit Houston. Today, we're going to go a little more historic on this one. Pearl, you want to get us started with the 4 sports gods from Houston, Texas.
This was impossible. So I hope that Cap, our graphics guy, got the right one because I changed my mind about 6 times last night.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you.
Fair. Akeem Olajuwon, number 1. I don't even think we need to explain that. 2 titles with the Rockets. University of Houston. He's the easiest one. If you don't have him on your list, Maggie, that's a shame. But here's where, and this is Houston. It gets tough right after that. Had to pick an Astro. Looked at Nolan Ryan. Looked at Biggio. Went with Jose Altuve. Because to me, regardless of the cheating or not cheating, the late teens Astros is the greatest Astros team I've ever seen, and their heart and soul is Jose Altuve. So I put him over a bunch of guys, to be honest. It felt weird. I know there are people who think he's the face of cheating in many ways for that team, but I don't think they think that in Houston. So I think he is a sports god and also a Hall of Fame player, in my opinion, no doubt.
Yeah.
Number 3, had to choose between 2 Texans, and I went with who I think will be higher on the all-time list of players, J.J. Watt, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, won Sportsman of the Year for everything he did for Houston during that horrible hurricane. Just an all-time player. Embraced Houston from the day he got there, a Wisconsin kid. And I think he's a sports god. The other Texans, I just think Watt, I have to elevate above them. All-time great player. And then my 4th spot, my wild card, it came down to 2 people. And I'm not going to tell you who the other person was, but I had to go with my favorite NFL Films player of all time. Earl Campbell, running down the field, the jersey ripping off. Highlights of Earl Campbell. I'm sure a lot of young people have no idea who he is. The greatest physical running back of all time. Maybe, yes, I'm going to say it. Him and Bo Jackson, the greatest highlight running back of all time. Bo Jackson highlights are the best still, but Earl Campbell's right there. Earl Campbell, former Houston Oiler. Love them Oilers. Yep. Love you, Blue. I'm going with Earl Campbell as my 4th Mount Olympus spot.
It's a good Mount Olympus. I don't know how many times you changed it or what you changed from. We'll find out in a little bit, but I'm with you on a couple things. One, lockstep on Akeem Olajuwon, obviously, for college and pro. And even though he didn't win in college, the Phi Slamma Jamma lives on forever.
All-time team.
And obviously the 2 titles, and he was the 2-time Finals MVP. And I'm also with you on J.J. Watt. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, was the face of the team. That's hard to do for a defensive guy. No disrespect, Matt Schaub and others, but for a defensive guy to really be the heart and soul, the identity, as opposed to a quarterback in this day and age, that is difficult to do, and J.J. Watt did that and loved it.
I almost put Andre Johnson in that spot. I gotta be honest, I love me some Andre Johnson.
I know. Just got in the Hall of Fame. Now you and I take different paths. And I did feel bad about not putting Earl Campbell on this list because I didn't watch him doesn't mean that I'm not familiar. It was the 7 years, though. It's a long time. But Jeff Bagwell put 20 into Houston. MVP, never won a championship. And I know that there's some whispers and there's some rumors about him bulking up in the steroids. He's never admitted that. And so I'm not going to sit up here and say he was a cheater. Jose Altuve cheated. I know he won 2 World Series. I know he won an MVP, but I'm not getting behind that, even though I understand you could say, well, Bagwell, there's whispers. Well, there's not a trash can banging, and we know this for sure. So I'm going with Bagwell, who won an NL MVP, which is why I put him over Biggio, even though they both were Houston legends.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan didn't play there long enough for me to do that, even though, but he did throw in one of his no-hitters for the Houston Astros.
He was there a long time. He was there 9 years. I couldn't believe it.
I know, 9 years, but he played for 30.
Yeah. So. No, I mean, you're right. It's funny that Nolan Ryan, I don't think, made either Dallas or Houston. It feels like a shame. Kind of feels like he's a sports god. He just fell in between.
Yeah, he's almost like he'd be on MLB's Mount Olympus, but not on any
just
specific
like
city.
Jackie Robinson. I don't think Jackie Robinson made our Mount Olympus because, I'm not sure why.
But Nolan Ryan didn't make LA either as a California Angel.
Wow, that. LA?
I'm just saying, he was great. He was great there. That was his best years, probably.
Okay.
Talking about Houston. So I have Akeem, I have J.J. Watt, and I have Jeff Bagwell. And for my 4th sports god, Pearl, I went with the late George Foreman. We're talking about athletes from individual sports. Because there's no team, we would go with their hometown. George Foreman famously raised Houston's 5th ward, a 2-time heavyweight champ. Beyond that, I mean, George Foreman, you can't tell the story of boxing without George Foreman, and then became this, from deep depression, pulled himself out of that through, religion and other things, and became this symbol for a smiling, happy, entrepreneur, when after he lost to Ali in the Rumble of the Jungle, it couldn't have been any lower, right? And he went through that deep funk. So for George Foreman, for the champion that he was, and for the story that he is, and representing Houston the way he did, he is on my Mount Olympus.
If you're going, okay, that's the person I left off, was not George Foreman, but individual sport. I mean, it's got to be Simone Biles.
I thought about Simone.
I mean, it's got it. That was killing me not putting her there. But I think she's on the national Mount Olympus too, and I know she's a huge deal in Houston. I know she lives there.
Yep.
She's from there. I can't believe you went with George Foreman over Biles.
I know. It was it was almost impossible.
So it was all. I almost took Earl Campbell.
So that was also killing me.
Yeah, me too. And Clyde Drexler killed me too because of Phi Slamma Jamma.
I know, but Clyde was both on our Portland.
Yeah, so but he easily could have made, because he did win a title with the Rockets too. Didn't play there long. There are a lot. This was tough. It's funny, you and I went through similar processes. Foreman's a really interesting pick. I would have gone Biles if I was going individual, but that's pretty cool. And I do think, again, Andre Johnson, if you don't know, my God, was that guy good.
Amazing. And EJ throwing up the U. So there you go, the Mount Olympus from Houston, Texas, the 4 sports gods. And it was very tough. I do feel bad about Earl Campbell, because I think people would say, oh, you just didn't watch him play. No, I know. I do know.
I think Nolan Ryan I feel bad about too, because talking about sports god, I know he didn't win there, because that's the famous thing about Nolan Ryan. And he, struck out everybody, but his team was always bad around him. Have you ever seen any videos on the guy that was there with him? J.R. Richard was he was a sports god too. Unfortunately, had a stroke, and he would have been an all-time top-tier Hall of Famer, but he got hurt. I did want to put an old Astro in there. Bagwell's interesting. You can't have Bagwell and Simone Biles on your Mount Olympus, because he's too big and she's too small. It wouldn't work.
Okay, 888-710-4ISN. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? Let's go to an expert and one of our friends, Lance Zierlein. Of course, we love him. NFL Network, NFL.com. Is Houston through and through? Lance, thanks so much for the time this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing great. So we need you here for a couple different reasons. So we're so glad you could do this today. First, our Mount Olympus, all-time sports gods from the city of Houston. If you were just listening, Perloff, go back through yours.
Okay, I went with Earl Campbell, J.J. Watt, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Jose Altuve as my 4 sports gods.
Okay, Lance, I went with Hakeem, I went with J.J. Watt, but I also went with Jeff Bagwell and George Foreman. Who got closer to the real thing?
I think Perloff got a little closer, but you're both close. I think you both hit on a lot of them. And we've had this discussion before. This is typically a summer discussion where sports slow down.
Yep.
And those of us in the media are creating content. You know how that goes, guys.
Hey, Lance, easy on pulling the curtain back here, all right? Just for sports guys.
It's really hot here comes, but we call it the Mount Rushmore. So I like that you guys have said Mount Olympus. That to me, that makes it brand new and fresh, and I've never heard of this concept. So I would say, okay, so J.J. Watt for sure is on there. And Hakeem Olajuwon for sure is on there. J.J. Watt, well, okay, Hakeem, you start with Hakeem Olajuwon. But the second one that you go to is Jose Altuve. Altuve in Houston has bypassed Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell and Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan gets mentioned a lot. I personally, as a lifelong Houstonian, I don't really see it. His accomplishments were not as great as everyone else's, but the 34s, Hakeem, Nolan Ryan, and Earl Campbell, that's been a big conversation over the years on Sports Talk Radio. But what Jose Altuve has been able to accomplish, the person that he's been, just in general, off the field as well, his greatness on the field, the championships have shot him past Bagwell and Biggio. Biggio would definitely be in the mix for Mr. Astro as well, maybe even more so than Bagwell, even though Bagwell, as the bigger national name. But for sure, it's Altuve right now and Akeem Olajuwon. Akeem is a no-brainer. J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. I think J.J. has to be on there. Earl Campbell, you could make the argument for. The city, he was just absolutely beloved. But I think over time, as we've gotten further and further away from that era of Houston football, I think Earl may have slipped off. And there's a lot of people that just never even saw Earl Campbell play. I mean, I was young when Earl was playing, so I loved Earl. But I would say J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and a guy who did a lot for the city, even during the hurricane, raised a ton of money. He would be on there. The fourth one is really tough, and any one that you guys said would be on there. But when we kind of put this to the listeners and we were all talking about it, the one that came up was Simone Biles, or Carl Lewis. There's Carl Lewis and Simone Biles, and that's when you get kind of outside the box a little bit. So I think you could put Bagwell, Biggio. It's not going to be James Harden, I can tell you that.
Only at certain gentlemen's clubs, we've heard.
That's right. Oh no, he's on that Mount Olympus. And I think George Foreman is a really good one too. So I think the fourth one is really arguable on a lot of different fronts.
Yeah, that's interesting about Biles. Now, nationally, I don't think of her as Houston. I think of her as a national person. Is she really embracing Houston? Does she do a lot in the community now?
She lives. I mean, she's trained here in Houston forever. She's from Houston. She'll go to games. Houston. She is Houston. She's kind of like Beyonce Houston, right? Beyonce's from Houston, but she's gotten so big that you don't think of it. But then if you ask Beyonce about home, she, when she comes back for concerts, it's a really big deal. Travis Scott, when he comes back for concerts, it's a really big deal. And Simone Biles is kind of the same way. She married a Houston Texan. At the time he was a Texan. Now I think he's in Green Bay, and I don't know if I can't remember if they got married when he was in Houston or if he had already gone. But yeah, we kind of have to. I mean, that's the tough one. If you want to say Simone Biles, if not, then you go Bagwell, Biggio, or Earl Campbell. I think those or Carl Lewis. Those are the only other options.
Yeah, and Carl Lewis is still he's the track coach at Houston, I think. Did I see that? Okay. Lance Zierlein is joining us right now because we needed a Houstonian to lend some credibility and critique our Mount Olympus of Houston, the 4 sports gods of Houston. But Lance, can we ask you to pull a little double duty for us? We'll get to the Durant trade in just a moment, but Perloff and I have given you a lot of credit on this show. I'm not sure if you realize this, about being one of the first people who do mock drafts for a living to say that Shedeur Sanders was likely not a first-round draft pick. And you got a lot of heat for this. I mean, we're talking about early in the process. Can you tell us, revisit for the audience, why you said that at the time, and then what was going through your mind as you're watching him fall all the way to the 5th round in the draft?
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot to cover there, so I'll try to make it as brief as I can. You got to remember, I watch all the tape on all these players, multiple hours. I study it, and then I also speak with people that are in the league. And this is mock 2.0. The first mock I had him, 2, 3, whatever. I didn't feel comfortable with it because I'd already seen him, and I had a 2nd-round grade on him. That's fine. Mock 1 is not a big deal. Mock 2, I'm coming out of the combine. And it was amazing. I had my own personal opinion on Shedeur and all the quarterbacks. Really, I didn't think it was a good quarterback class. And Shedeur to me was clearly number 2. But with that said, I didn't love him in the first round, even though quarterbacks get pushed up. And when I left the combine, I realized I couldn't find anyone that was all in on Shedeur. And I also start to realize, look, his personality was going to rub some people the wrong way. Now, I hadn't heard all of the stories I would hear until later about not meeting with certain teams, not answering questions in the meetings with one team in particular that he did meet with. So I didn't really know about how few teams were even going to be considering him because he refused to meet with them. And teams aren't going to draft a quarterback that they didn't even meet with, especially not early. And So I was going through my mock draft, and I never have a preconceived notion of where I'm going to put guys because I try to think individually, just like each team, based on their needs and salary cap and all kinds of stuff. Whose salary is going to come up the next year. And as I'm doing this, I realize, man, I passed Seattle. I passed at the time Las Vegas. I passed Seattle. I get past the Steelers, and I'm like, there's not a place for Shedeur Sanders. If I don't put him into one of these places, there's not a place for Shedeur Sanders. I had to have Cleveland trade back into the first round to take him at number 29. And I legitimately thought, I don't think he, I really don't know that he goes in the first round. And the next 2 drafts, I did the same thing. I had him going, I think the last draft I had him falling out. So it was one of these things where you just can't, I couldn't find anyone there. And it was funny, once I did that, and remember, that's right after the combine, I had people from the media reach out either through text message or direct message saying, man, I can't believe you said that because this is the same way I feel. But everyone was afraid of taking the heat. I mean, to be honest with you, the media is afraid of Dion, at least the national media who deals in television. They're afraid of dealing with the Dion. They're afraid of the pushback and the blowback from people on Twitter. I don't care. Like, the truth is the truth, so it doesn't matter to me. I take heat all the time in mock drafts because sometimes I'm the first to put an opinion out there that goes against the national narrative. But the reason on draft day that I kept thinking, well, once he gets past the first round now, you've got about 5 picks in the second round, and if you don't get picked there, you probably fall out of the day 2. And sure enough, that's what happened. What I found out later was there were very few teams that actually were even considering him because he wouldn't meet with anybody.
Wow. Lance, what do you expect to happen in Cleveland in the quarterback room?
I think Joe Flacco gets it. I think those guys, the GM and the head coach may need a winning season to keep their job. I don't think it will happen, but Joe Flacco gives them the best chance early on. But at some point, they'll get away from Flacco, and I think Shedeur Sanders will be the guy at some point. But I don't think he's ready. I think he needs more time. I think all the your best chance would be probably Dillon Gabriel, just from a standpoint of he played a lot of football, reads defenses pretty well, but he's very limited from a physical standpoint. So I think Shedeur could end up being an average starting quarterback. I don't think it will be this year that he shows up in that capacity, but he's really he's going to have to humble himself and just work. He's got to work and understand this is not being a brand. This is being a leader and being a guy who's first in, last out. And if he can do that, he's got a shot.
Lance Zierlein with us. Lance, we only have about a minute left, so we'll get your thoughts on the Durant trade. You've been doing radio in Houston for a long, long time, so you understand what these moments are like. Do you think this is more championship or more bust with Durant going to Houston?
Yeah, I think it's tough. It's got some Charles Barkley vibes where it works out for the first year and then it falls apart. I think that the question is, you have a chance to win it. I think you have a chance to win a championship if Kevin Durant stays healthy, but the chances of that happening, I think, are getting slimmer and slimmer with each passing year. He gives you what you need in a half court and shot efficiency. The problem is you're not as good defensively now. You maybe closed the window of your long-term, run a little bit with getting an older player, and now you are really dependent upon Kevin Durant being healthy through most of a season, and I think that's a dangerous proposition. And you're probably going to extend him with 2 more years at supermax contract number. So for me, Maggie, this is a really, really dangerous move, but it's one the team felt like they had to have because they don't have enough offense in the half court.
Lance, I hope in 10 years we are calling you again on a Monday morning and saying, is Kevin Durant on the Mount Olympus of Houston sports?
Yeah, I'm with you. I hope so, too. But Barkley didn't make it, so we'll see what happens.
Clyde didn't even make it.
I know. It's a high bar.
Clyde didn't make it, but Clyde was also Phi Slamma Jamma, as you know, so he's got a special place in the city.
I know.
No doubt. He did make our Portland Mount Olympus. Thank you so much, Lance.
That's good.
Love reading you, listening to you, watching you, and thank you for lending your expertise to all things Houston this morning.
Thanks, guys, and congrats on the success.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it. You
Lance.
too. And talking about Shedeur Sanders, we got so much to unpack there. We have not gotten the Durant trade yet. Perloff and I will give you our grades for that trade. Who won? Was it the Rockets, the Suns, Durant? Who's the big winner today? We'll tell you next. MVP.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Everyone getting flashbacks from their club days. Especially Andrew Bogusch.
Yeah. Limelight, baby.
If you're old enough for Limelight. It's a famous club from New York City that closed down a long time ago.
I've been outside it during the day.
I think Limelight closed down in the 2000s, though. I think it
Was it
lasted
that
a
late?
long time. Yeah, I think it
Don't look at
lasted
me.
a long time.
Like not a Studio 54, but kind of like that. Let's get to some headlines, though. Our Mount Olympus of Maggie and Perloff, our 4 sports gods of Houston, is now live. You can let us know what you think quickly. Both of us had Akeem Olajuwon. We both had J.J. Watt. Perloff went with Jose Altuve and Earl Campbell, where I went with George Foreman and Jeff Bagwell. Bogues, what's good?
It was game 105 for both teams. The Thunder went home with win number 84 and the NBA title.
SGA on the handle. Out front. Down the lane spurts. Kicks. Left wing dub. Wants 3. It's online. Give it to him, baby. Thunder by 21. Timeout Pacers. It's happening. It's happening. 89-68. 8:27 to play. They're on their feet. Delirious at Paycom Center.
Matt Pinto, Thunder Radio OKC, began to pull away in the third quarter of Game 7 with the Pacers. They pushed the lead above 20 in the fourth, then won 103-91. Jalen Williams scored 20. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 29, plus 12 helpers to earn Finals MVP honors. But this game would have been different had Tyrese Haliburton not hurt his right Achilles in the first quarter. That's the leg with the strained calf that has plagued him since Game 5. The Pacers had to carry a broken-hearted Haliburton off the floor, but he stayed in the arena for his teammates like Pascal Siakam.
Obviously, it hurts. It hurts because we couldn't get it done, and I wanted it so bad for him, and just because I know that, he gave us everything, everything he had, and it just hurts that he he couldn't see it through with us.
Siakam only scored 16 last night. Benedict Mathurin led Indy with 24. TJ McConnell scoring 16 off the bench as well. Back to the Thunder. This is the franchise's first title since 1979 when they were the Sonics. Kevin Durant was a Sonic, then a Thunder, a Warrior, a Net, a Sun, and soon he'll be a Rocket. Phoenix sending KD as of July 6th to Houston for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick on Wednesday, and 5 second-round picks.
You see Durant completed the rainbow of uniforms.
That's what my son said, yeah.
Every color in the rainbow, he's now worn a jersey for a team with those colors. Amazing.
Man, I'm trying to think of other people who would even come close to that.
Who noticed
Lou
this,
Williams,
by the way?
Like a Robert Horry
yeah.
or someone? Yeah, Lou Williams. I don't even know.
And it's funny because there probably aren't too many old players because you don't have too many NBA teams that are wearing indigo in 1985, right?
Although those old Denver Nuggets uniforms, you basically got the whole rainbow in that one uniform.
That is true. So Dikembe Mutombo, he also fits.
A quick reminder that both Philadelphia and baseball are annoying.
Here's the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air, pretty deep, right center field. Taylor going back, looking up, and that ball is gone! It clears over the stands into the bullpens. It's a 3-run home run for Edmundo Sosa.
Scott Fransky on Phillies radio. Kyle Schwarber also went deep. Jesus Luzardo, K7, over 6 2/3. The Phils took their rubber game with the Mets last night, 7-1, retaking a 1-game lead atop the NL East.
Yes.
And U.S. men's soccer, a 2-1 win over Haiti to claim the top spot in Group D in the Gold Cup. Now they prep for a quarterfinal with Costa Rica on Sunday. Guys, back to you.
Did you see where the guy who's the head of FIFA, Infantino, whatever his name is, said that he thinks soccer can be the #1 sport in the United States?
Wow, cool.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, you could probably get Mark Cuban to second that with an accurate read of the way the leagues are.
It's like, I don't know, guys. Every time we think there's going to be a second #1 sport, somehow the NFL gets bigger.
Soccer's been on the brink of taking over for what?
The mid-90s, it feels like?
No, I would say 1978.
Yeah. And the Pele come over and play with the Cosmos.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, soccer's obviously a big deal, growing, but that feels rich to me. And what do you expect the head of FIFA to say?
No, I get it, but he got clowned for it. And I'm like, at some point, football is not going to be our #1 thing, but maybe it just will be forever. Maybe the NFL just will be the biggest thing forever. Because you're right. Mark Cuban predicted its demise. Everyone thinks soccer is going to be the next thing, and it never happens.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, young people do play soccer growing up. It's become more and more. But I played soccer growing up, and soccer wasn't my favorite professional sport.
Same.
Yeah. I had to drop out because of asthma.
The Andrew Perloff story.
Yeah.
That's really rough.
That's
because of asthma.
Right on the nose, actually.
I'm like, send me indoors to a basketball court and get me away from this cut grass in the fall. Pollen season?
The pollen.
I know. We're a bunch of warriors over here. Coming up, the finals, the Durant trade, we got it all.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Mad fans woke up to a miracle sight. We beat Perloff Phillies for the first damn night. Said it couldn't happen, no way, no how. But we proved them wrong, look at us now. EJ's talking big, saying this year's the chance. But the Celtics showed up and led the dance. Jason's joking hard, Jalen's running wild, while EJ's sitting there looking like a sad child. He's nowhere to be seen, it's no surprise. Just like the Knicks, he's dodging working alibi. Oh, EJ and Knicks are out of luck. Boston rolled over and left them stuck. Peter's missing work, but that's no news. Just like your Oh, Uncle Sam's got his turkey day plans. Sipping bourbon from a can, yeah, that's his stance. He's got the Maggie and Perloff show on blast. Feeling thankful and tipsy, talking fast. Drunkle Sam, he's the man with a drink in his hand and a wild fan plan. Chatting up a storm about freedom and fuss, complaining about censorship and making a fuss. Daly's in the chat, shouting out loud, hey, let us speak free, don't censor the crowd. But Drunkle just laughs with a grin and a wink. He's got Maggie and Perloff and plenty to drink. Drunkle Sam, he's the man with the pumpkin pie and a turkey day tan. Bourbon in his cup, he's our #1 fan. Raising a glass to the Maggie and Perloff clan. So here's to Drunkle, all merry and bold, with Thanksgiving cheer and chat uncontrolled. He's loud, he's proud, a fan through and through. Cheers, Uncle Sam, we're thankful for you.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Up top, Haliburton falls down, turns it over, and this will lead to Gilgeous-Alexander to the other end, where he sends it to Williams for a dunk. And Haliburton is face down in the Indiana offensive end. The trainer, Josh Corbeil, rushes out to take a look, and even a concerned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is checking on Haliburton. Indiana will take a timeout.
That was Pacers radio, and it was as bad as it gets. Oklahoma City wins the NBA title, Perloff, and good morning, but the Haliburton Achilles tear, reportedly an Achilles tear with 4 minutes left to go in the first quarter, just changed everything about the Game 7.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, again, we keep arguing about this. It was a very, very close game in the first quarter. We're not, in my mind, we're not sure that Oklahoma City's run wasn't coming at some point anyway. I mean, let's not take too much away from OKC. They're arguably the greatest defensive team of this generation. Does that sound like a stretch?
It doesn't. I know that's what the numbers say. If you're asking me, like, who was one of the great defensive teams of this generation, I don't know if that's what I'm going to first.
Because you might go to a shot. Well, why not? This is not only one of, they're definitely the best.
Right,
I can't even think of a close second.
Dominant defensive teams. I'm thinking about the Lakers. I'm thinking about maybe Detroit. I'm thinking about, other champions.
But 0-4 Detroit. Which Lakers team?
Well, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, so that swept away the Nets. Like the dominant teams. That beat your Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, I'm just thinking about teams that were more dominant. I'm not trying to take away anything from Oklahoma City, but at the same time, I can't help with what the sports gods provided last night or whatever, which was Tyrese Haliburton, who, yes, was hobbled coming into the game, was not 100%, even though he played great in Game 6. He had that bad calf, but he was looking awesome at the beginning of the game. And then I felt like we all got sort of robbed of what could have been a very, an incredible Game 7, because we'll just never know. Haliburton had turned in one of the most epic postseasons as far as the game winners, out of nowhere, the comebacks. No one expected the Pacers to be in a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And the reason why they're there is because Haliburton's heroics, and we never got to see if he had one last bullet in the chamber last night.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what to tell you. That being said, it happened. Haliburton got hurt, and OKC is a title winner. Now we have to define them as a champion. I mean, that's how it works. They're all young. They're all going to be back. This should be the beginning of a massive run. The only thing is the NBA where parity now rules. So something will happen to them next year because it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And they'll fall off. I don't know how they're going to lose in the playoffs next year, but they are. If recent history indicates anything, but they really are an incredible team. Like, they're very unusual too. They're nothing like, they're closer to me to the Warriors in 2015. They're like no other team. They're a mid-range defensive first. Do either of those words define the modern era of basketball? Not at all. This is a three-point era, and they're like, we don't even need that. It's crazy how they play.
Well, that's because their best player is like a mid-range god, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah. All their players. Like, is there any? They don't have one sniper on there. They don't who's their three-point shooter? There's not one. Isaiah Joe, and they won't even play him.
They don't play him. I know. Well, Caruso hit a couple yesterday, but clearly not enough.
He's a
he's off the bench.
defensive monster.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a different way, so maybe that's the whole point, right? Maybe that's the zag where everyone else zigs, and
I think so.
And this could be something, but you're right. Parity does rule.
I will tell you one thing. The Pacers, and we talked about this, were uniquely situated to handle this. Not just because of Haliburton, but they went 10 deep. The thing is, here's where you and I keep. I think Haliburton was going to be great last night. I just don't think those other guys on the Pacers were ready to step up and actually finish the deal against the Thunder.
Okay, but we've kind of been saying about the Pacers through this whole run. It's like, it's a team full of role players, and there's not superstars, and X, Y, and Z. We found a million ways to count this team out, and then they found themselves in Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
And
how do you still
underdogs,
count somebody out?
Because it's in OKC. Because those guys are not great in Oklahoma City.
Okay, but they won Game 1. And the Pacers had been as good as OKC had been after a loss, where they have a really gaudy record from all season long. But that's as awesome as the Pacers have been on the road. How did the Pacers actually get here? Staking themselves to these 2-0 leads when they were on the road, doing it against the Bucks, doing it against the Cleveland Cavs, doing it against EJ's Knicks. They got off to these really great starts in these series because of how they played on the road.
Right, but they were already down 2-1 in OKC on the series. I mean, yes, how many have they been outscored by on the road in this series? Like, basically, OKC kind of had them. And the one game OKC lost, we've seen OKC blow this exact home game earlier in the playoffs. OKC is dominant at home, unlike any other team in the NBA right now, and one of the great home teams of all time.
That's fine, but they still found themselves in a Game 7 against a team that you just couldn't kill. And then last night when Haliburton got hurt, to me, just threw an asterisk on things. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. JT is in Atlanta. How'd you see it, JT? A dominant OKC win, or do you see an asterisk here?
I definitely see an asterisk. And I think what Perloff is describing is what, the odds were going into it and everything else. But the actual game that we were watching prior to him getting hurt was something else. And that's what I think you're talking about, Maggie. I think the excitement was there. It was like, wait a minute, they might have that, like you said, that proverbial other bullet in his chamber, that one last shot, and it looked like he had it.
Yep.
And, they were a team that looked like a team of destiny, up until that point where he fell down. And I was believing, but as soon as he fell down and it was clear that he wasn't coming back, I turned the game off. It was at that point, it was a foregone conclusion because, you could talk about, their, OKC, this, that, and the other. But when you lose the morale, when you lose your main player, the guy who is who has led you to this point, it's kind of demoralizing. And I didn't expect them to now if they would have overcome that, that's a tremendous story. I would have never expected that to happen.
They would have needed an all-time Siakam game for that, and they weren't getting it. They didn't get it last night, but yeah, it was like you got a little bit of that taste, right? Like Game 6, how Haliburton came out and played really well, and it felt like it set the tone for everyone when they were facing elimination in Indiana. And then he came out in Game 7, and he's setting the tone again. And JT, I think you and I are lockstep here, where it's like, oh, maybe there's a chance, and then it got ripped away.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And so, and one other thing real quick is on the Mount Olympus. Perloff, what are we doing here with the Altuve? And I know the guy, they just called in the Houston guru or whatever, but only Houston would put a known cheater on their Mount Olympus. I mean, this guy it's not even for question. The guy that doesn't want you to open his jersey.
JT.
Never convicted that Bagwell.
Listen. I was more Biggio than Bagwell, so again, I'm not a Bagwell guy either. But she's right. He never got good. He's a convicted cheater.
Yeah.
Altuve. He's the guy that doesn't want you to open his jersey because he's got a microphone or whatever, some kind of hidden device underneath his shirt.
The buzzer.
You're right. So to have that as one of your gods of your city is a convicted and known stealer of championships.
JT, this is not the New York Mount Olympus. This is Houston. In Houston, they love the dude. In San Francisco, they love Barry Bonds.
And again, Barry Bonds, he admitted it, but he was never convicted. Now he did admit what it is, and his head size proved it all. So I just, I don't
JT,
know. You know what it is?
This is, I couldn't do Altuve. I'm right there with you. He known cheater, but you know what I think it is? He's a cheater, but he's our guy. Like I put Bill Belichick on my Boston, Mount Olympus. Cheater, but he's their guy. And everyone would have wanted him to be cheating for their team in that way. JT, thank you for the call, dude.
One thing, though, Altuve and Belichick are not the same. Spygate was not thump.
No, I get it. Altuve's worse.
Altuve's 1,000 times worse. Bill Belichick is not known for. He videotaped the other guy's science. Nobody cares about that.
Well, it went on for a long time.
Right. But that is, I don't. Well, maybe you're right, because South Park did call him Bella cheat, but I feel like openly stealing signs and hitting homers in the World Series is way worse.
Cheaters have made this Mount Olympus, but I couldn't get there with Altuve. And by the way, I'm someone who doesn't even think that buzzer story was real, and I still couldn't put Altuve on my Mount Olympus.
Didn't
Nico.
They won in 2022 without the cheating.
They
though.
won
so
without
that
the cheating.
prove that they didn't need it to win.
So you got one with the cheating and one without the cheating.
But in Houston, now listen, you'll probably win this poll because everyone hates Altuve. I understand that. But in Houston, I think Altuve, like you said, everybody embraces their own cheaters.
Right, like Barry Bonds. And you won our San Francisco, our Bay Area, pardon me, Mount Olympus, and you had Bonds on yours.
Yeah, but Altuve is much more disliked than Bonds. Much more.
I think so as well. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Quickly, can we get to the Durant trade, please? So while OKC and Indiana were gearing up for Game 7 yesterday, we got word early in the morning where Durant is actually doing an interview in front of a live audience at Fanatics Fest in New York City, which Perloff and I went to go check out on Friday. And he gets traded. Nico, let's hear a little from Kevin Durant. He's talking with Kay Adams, who was there on behalf of Fanatics. He was stunned to be traded while this event was going on.
Fanatics Fest is crazy. If you haven't been here and been tapped in, anything can happen at Fanatics Fest, like me getting traded. But being a part of the Houston Rockets, I'm looking forward to it. Crazy last couple of weeks, but I'm glad it's over with.
Okay, more from Durant said he definitely told Phoenix that he wanted to go to Houston.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, they asked me where I wanted to go. Some of my destinations, I gave them to them, and here we are.
Okay, and why did he want to go to the Rockets?
We just had a great season last year. Love their leadership. I felt like I'd be a good addition.
Yeah, again, and where Charles Barkley called him a bus rider, Kevin Durant keeps adding fuel to it. Keeps chasing and chasing and chasing. Oh, they had a good season. I'm going to go tack on them. They had a great season. I'm going to go tack on them. I'm going to go try to join something already in progress. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, could not rise the tide there. There were a lot of issues with that Phoenix team. Brooklyn is going to be remembered as a disaster. And, Durant's legacy, I think, keeps taking hits here.
Well, the one thing, though, Houston, I don't feel like that's not a bus rider team because they don't really have a bus driver. That's one team where he's actually the bus driver.
Well, good luck with all that because he's a guy who, I know he missed 20 games last year. He's going to be 37 years old.
Right.
And he's never really, going back to the OKC days, okay, well, we're talking about a long time ago now. A long time, a lot of foot, Achilles injuries since then. And if you're asking me if this trade is going to be more championship or bust, I'm going to say bust for two reasons. Number one, I don't know if Durant can lead a team to a championship anymore. Just plain and simple, even though he's a phenomenal scorer still and put up good numbers, I don't think he can play that much basketball. I don't think he'll hold up. And then number two, Durant has never been a great leader. Can we just call it that? If he was, I think that we would have evidence. Instead, he can go to teams that have strong personalities, and that won't fit, like Golden State, or he could try to fill a void of leadership, and that doesn't work out. So why do we think all of a sudden now this is going to work? Instead, what I forecast is a guy who is moody, who's going to end up being, fall out of love with Houston as quickly as he falls in love with Houston.
Right.
And I don't think Ime Udoka, for as great of a relationship they may have behind the scenes, I don't know if there's any coach that's ever been able to do that. Steve Kerr couldn't do that for Kevin Durant, right? They end up not having a great relationship. Steve Nash, are they even friends anymore?
Why do you think so many teams call the Suns about Durant then?
Probably because they either thought they could get him for cheap.
Which the Rockets did in a major way.
And by the way, how many teams actually called and Durant had a say? So he was saying, send me to Houston, send me to Miami, or the third team was Spurs. Nick said no. So teams were turning him down, and he had three options. It's not like the whole league called.
Well, yeah. Then it turned out that Shams reported that the Cavs and the Nuggets were in on him. Those are pretty good teams.
Well, then he's silly for not taking them more seriously.
No, but they couldn't. They didn't have any kind of pack. Oh. So here's the thing about Houston: you have to understand, they were probably thrilled to get Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and the number 10 pick out the door. Because if there's one team that doesn't need another rookie, another number 10 pick, it's Houston Rockets. I mean, they've been making so many top 10 picks, and they're all there, and they can't use that pick. I don't know what they would have done with that. They can't have another 20-year-old in the building. And Jalen Green's a huge disappointment. 42% shooter, terrible in the playoffs after that one good game. And Dillon Brooks was an afterthought last offseason, so who cares about it now? They didn't really give up anything.
That's fine.
In my mind, I'm not a big Jalen Green fan. I thought he was a major disappointment. So I think the Rockets, I know they'll probably pay Durant. That's where the mistake is. But getting those guys out of the building, they gave up next to nothing.
So it's going to be probably 2 years, $122 million for Durant. But I ask you, you're like, they had to do something. The Rockets can't afford to have another young guy. Why? You were just the second seed in the Western Conference, okay? You won tons of games this year, and you're building this thing in an organic way.
No, you're not. You're wasting draft picks left and right.
Okay,
you
they
took
missed
Reed
on
Shepard, who
one.
can't even break the rotation. Jabari Smith, who could barely break the rotation. He went number 2, and Reed Shepard went number 3.
Okay, well,
these are disasters.
Jabari Smith is expected to be a really good player alongside Durant here.
I've watched a lot of, expect all you want. I actually saw him projecting the starting lineup. I'm like, I am not sure about that. And he should be he was a number 2 pick. He should be a star by now.
Well, he might be if he's got Durant. See, you don't. Okay, so I'm trying to think.
These guys are disappointments. I didn't tell you.
So you're going to microwave this thing with Durant? Do you think this is going to work or no?
Well, you can't have a bunch of. I mean, it'll work for what it is. I mean, listen, the other option was just do the same thing you did last year and go out in the first round. So there's no downside.
But how do you know they were going to go out in the first round? I think they got really unlucky with the matchup that they faced the Golden State Warriors. I mean, that's as tough as it's going to get. They were not your average. 6 seed.
Well, I think if you stay young in Houston, I don't think these guys are that close to being there. In the West, I don't think they had any chance of making a playoff run.
Okay, so do you think Durant is the right move?
Yeah, I think this was the right move because, again, you might as well take a shot. Otherwise, you're not even really in the mix. And the problem is all your 20 to 23-year-old guys are going to come up on contracts on the same time. You're going to have nothing to show for it. So I don't totally understand the aprons, to be honest, but as you have to make a choice. You can't just keep drafting a top 5 pick and have 8 top 5 picks in the building and then decide, well, we're just going to have to let this guy go for nothing because we can't pay all of them. So obviously you build around Amen Thompson. He's your future.
Right.
And you might as well bring in Durant because you got to get Jalen Green out of there. You can't have him there being duplicative of Amen Thompson. You got to build around Sengun, Thompson. And I think Durant's a good fit basketball-wise for those guys. He's a scorer. That's what they desperately need.
Did we just watch OKC win the title last night with draft picks?
Did you watch the Rockets
top 10?
I mean, did you think that Rockets team looked anywhere close? And what's the deal with Jabari Smith and Reed Shepard? In all seriousness, I was looking at their minutes. Like, they're not even close to cracking the starting lineup. And they should be delivering by now. The Rockets remind me of the Sixers. They've been processing and making a lot of high picks, but they're not getting a lot to show for it.
Really? This has been 2 years when they've expected they were in the play-in.
And they won 54 games this year.
Yeah, I know they were the second seed, but that was them arriving. They haven't been toiling here as this, disappointing championship contender for the last 5 years. That's your 76ers.
But they made so many high picks. And what are they good? I except for Amen Thompson, there were any of these guys I was actually looking. They clearly should not have taken Reed Shepard. They should have taken Stephon Castle, but. I don't know that they remind me of the Sixers that they keep getting these high picks that are not great drafts. It feels like it's just falling the wrong way.
Yet. I mean, we're barely scratching the surface. Amen Thompson has been in the league for 2 years. These are not grizzled vets. This is.
It reminds me of the Sixers. It's kind of like the Jabari Parker and the Nerlens Noel. We had a lot of picks. And the thing is, when you have all young players at a certain point, it doesn't all come together at the right time. And I personally don't think the Rockets were coming together. They were.
They were the second seed in the Western Conference that you think was more lopsided than any we've seen. So obviously they're doing something right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they were anywhere close to a title as constituted.
Well, but maybe they're just years away, Pearl. I mean, I think we're kind of looking at them, and they were really not a finished product. These are young players. Reed Shepard's 19, Jabari Smith's 21.
I think Shepard's 20 now, yeah.
Well, yeah, but he came into the league as a 19-year-old. These are guys who are super young players. And the Thunder, if they taught us anything, is you got to be patient. This is a team that held on to guys, and they did not give up their assets, and they saw the fruits of their labor. The problem is, do they have their Shai? It doesn't look like they do, and maybe that's where they feel like, well, Durant can maybe play our Shai for a year or two, and then we see if these other young guys can build up until we find that superstar.
I think also, too, I'm not there, but I think something about Jalen Green was just not working there. It felt like...
I agree.
I felt like they had to move him out of the way to get him on, and they were able to move him out of the way. They had to let Amon Thompson become this star of the team. There was just something really off about the way they played those Warriors.
He's just not good. I mean,
is that what it is?
I mean, I think he's a guy who
he was promised to us to be the next superstar.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it sometimes is you see a guy on a highlight reel, he could do all the the skills trainer moves, and he looks really good when he's playing against high school or G League guys. But I think doing that stuff in the NBA at 6'4" is extremely hard. I think we're learning that now. He's a small guard for a shooting guard who does not defend, who takes a lot of tough shots, and they look good in a highlight reel in a workout video. It's different playing in the NBA.
So I think the other part that you guys are discounting, not you're discounting it, but we're not, putting enough attention on is you do have this young core of players, right? And probably you don't think that they're good enough or that they were not panning out or whatever.
In the West, no way. Yeah.
Okay. Adding Kevin Durant to that from a personality mix, do you think that he is going to lead this young team and show these guys how to play in the right way and be that awesome veteran? Or is it more likely that either something's going to happen where he's not the alpha that you think he is, it gets weird and it gets awkward and he's looking for another team?
Well, I mean, listen, he'll be 39. If he signs a 2-year, $100 million deal, is it a deal or an extension? It's an extension, right? So
it's an extension. He has 1 year left.
That's it for him. I mean, he might have a show year at 40, but this is probably his last significant contract. And then here's the thing, he'll be gone. And then they can, I think it's kind of like Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Like, what's the huge risk here? He's not going to mess up your team for 10 years contract-wise. So, yeah, maybe the leadership is not there. I agree with that. But if you look from a team-building standpoint, a contract standpoint, this is not a massive risk, is it? I mean, they're really not giving up that much. And if it doesn't work out, he's gone. And then Amon Thompson's 25.
Yeah. I mean, what team says Durant left in a better spot?
None.
888-710-4ISN.
Houston, I just think they had not much to lose here. I mean, they honestly, are they a better team today? Definitely.
888-710-4476. The Durant trade, more championship or more bust? Because that's why you do this. You don't bring in Kevin Durant because you want to,
Well, nobody's going to pick the Rockets to win it, are they?
Well, then why'd you do it? 888-710-4ISN. So it's a short-term situation. It's thought to be to win a title. Could they actually do it? We see you guys on the phones. You want to talk about our Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods today. Houston, Texas is center stage. So not just with the Durant trade, but also with our Mount Olympus. We'll get to that in just a moment. It's Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Recapping the NBA Finals, and we're doing our Houston Mount Olympus 4 sports gods from every major sports city. I feel good about mine. I feel like the reaction is not exactly what I expected. Turns out people are a little dubious of Jose Altuve, but I feel good about Hakeem, J.J. Watt, and Earl Campbell. And then Altuve. Who do you got, Meg?
I also have Hakeem Olajuwon and J.J. Watt, but I went with Jeff Bagwell of all the Astros I could have picked, and I also went with George Foreman, who was raised in Houston's 5th Ward. Very proud to be from Houston, and may he rest in peace. We lost him recently.
Yeah, if we were going to go individual sport, I would have gone Simone Biles. I thought hard. It was Earl Campbell and Simone Biles, and I went with my NFL Films highlight. Dude was running down the field. They ripped off his jersey and couldn't tackle him.
Joe is calling from San Francisco with an important name that we both missed. Joe, who do you have?
Warren Moon.
Yeah, listen. EJ, you were also very big on Warren Moon. So it's obviously a little different because it's the Houston Oilers. Listen, he did in Houston. I'm not going to pretend like he shouldn't belong there. He does. The franchise moved to Tennessee to become the Titans, but that doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there, Joe. You're right. Warren Moon should be on this list.
Wait. Yep. What do you mean? Who do you take off?
Joe, you have someone you want to take off? Would you take off who? An Astro?
Yeah, I'll probably take off Bagwell or Altuve because y'all just respecting the old guys, man. Y'all go with all these young cats, man.
Yeah.
That's what y'all doing, but I'll take out Altuve probably.
Joe, disrespecting the old guys. Perloff's got Earl Campbell on there. We both have Akeem, and I have George Foreman, who's winning championships in the 70s. I don't think it's a young versus old thing. I'm wondering, EJ, who would you have taken off to put Warren Moon on?
When I did my list, I believe I took off. I think I took off Altuve.
So you have no Astros.
I don't have any Astros. No.
See, I think that might be wrong, though.
Actually, no, I think I did have Altuve. I'm trying to find my list earlier. I put it up.
Yeah. Moon it didn't win anything in Houston. They weren't even very good. I mean, how can you put him over, like, I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure Earl Campbell or anything. When were they really good?
I had Hakeem, Watt, Moon, and Altuve was my fourth guy. So I took off Earl Campbell. I just think, Earl Campbell, they went to the AFC Championship game, but they didn't win a Super Bowl. And Moon took his team to the playoffs. And Moon was, to me, I think also, he's a historic. He's a black quarterback at a time where there were not a lot of black quarterbacks. I think that matters. I also think the quarterback position alone matters. I always live by the Malik Wright quote. Everybody knows the quarterback.
Yeah.
And when you're a star quarterback in a city like Houston that loves football, I think that matters a ton. So I would have put Warren Moon on that list somehow.
I understand it, but it does feel a little odd. It would feel odd. I know you put Altuve on, but for some people, it's just the cheating was a little too far.
I think I agree with Perloff. In Houston, he is a god, even if I don't like him.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just think the Astros are so important to the city of Houston. I really do. It's, some teams kind of take center stage over other teams in a city, and I just think the Astros are one of those teams as opposed to the Houston Oilers / now Texans. Like, there's been a lot of upheaval when it comes to football. Now, there's upheaval with the Astros that they change leagues. I understand that, but the Astros have been a consummate.
But
I don't know. I don't agree with that, but go ahead.
If you're going to pick an Astro, though, I think for Bagwell, and I love Jeff Bagwell. I think he's one of the more underrated players of my generation. That team just was nothing in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that era.
They got to the NLCS Game 7, but against St. Louis.
Was he on the team still?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he was, okay. I'm thinking about the Killer Bees era, though. I'm thinking about the 90s when I was growing up. Those teams were just an automatic out in the wild card round. Those were teams, they would win 100 games and they were nothing in the playoffs. So to me, and when they went to the NLCS, that was because of Carlos Beltran, another B who had nothing to do with the generation. I was the guy they traded for the trade deadline. So great players, Bagwell, BGO. I respect for both. You didn't win enough to me to really be considered. So I got Altuve. I think you could even do Carlos Correa too if you want to think of another Astro. But to me, I went off the beaten path. I went with Altuve, but then I didn't do Earl Campbell or George Foreman.
But I wonder though, Moon. The team was fading when he was there, and then they left Tennessee. So I don't know if people remember that team as fondly in the sports guy. And by the way, Houston is not a baseball town like New York or Boston. Houston is a football town, and there's a lot of different kinds of football: high school, college, NFL, and I think the Rockets and the Astros exist in this sort of B level to football. To me, the Astros are a big deal, but they're not singular like the Red Sox or the Yankees. I think there's a lot going on in Houston. Honestly, how about the all-time leading touchdown scorer in college football history? Anyone think about him?
Oh, Case Keenum.
Now, the Cougars are not.
Case had to be there for 8 years, but he did get the record.
UT and Texas A&M are a big factor in Houston as well. And high school football is a big factor. It's a very spread out. And also, too, if you want to have people from Houston, oh, my God, that's so many amazing athletes, too, because it's warm there year-round and everybody's incredible at sports.
Let's get to Bogusch, who got our headlines for us. Very busy Monday.
Guys, asterisk or not, this will be the defining image from Game 7 of Thunder Pacers.
Topping out of the near corner. Up top, Haliburton falls down, turns it over, and this will lead to Gilgeous-Alexander to the other end, where he sends it to Williams for a dunk. And Haliburton is face down in the Indiana offensive end. The trainer, Josh Corbeil, rushes out to take a look, and even a concerned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is checking on Haliburton.
That's Mark Boyle on Pacers Radio. It's Tyrese Haliburton had hit 3 threes. Indy had an 18-16 edge in OKC, and then his right Achilles gave out 2 games after injuring his right calf on almost the exact same spot on the floor.
You're saying that is the defining image?
Yes.
History will say, hey, remember when the Thunder were in their first title, and they'll show a picture of Haliburton being hurt?
The first thing about that game that most of us will remember is him punching the floor, tears in his face, 100%.
So when you look back, say, 15 years from now, you're going to look at the Thunder. Oh, that's the one where Haliburton got hurt. Okay.
I mean, we do it with Durant and the Raptors.
Yeah, because they would have won if Durant wasn't hurt. We know that as a fact.
And I agree with you that I still think the Thunder would have won the game last night, Haliburton or not. Yeah. But because that was such a gut punch, and there also wasn't what's the Thunder moment? A Jalen Williams corner three? Caruso's weird
throw.
It
could have been the Caruso
right,
but it just didn't. Like he just couldn't get the ups.
Yeah.
And I could have dated Giselle in my prime. What are you talking about?
If you did, we would have forgotten something. Your asthma attacks in outdoor soccer.
Honestly. It could. Let's not say that he was anywhere close to hitting that dunk. As much as I don't want the defining.
He was closer than all the rest of us.
Not really. Not really. We were all equal equidistant.
I could do that. There's a lot of things I couldn't do during an NBA game.
You're as close to the sun. You're as close to the sun right now as he was to hitting that dunk. That was ridiculous. I mean, we did see incredible dunks on this playoffs. Neesmith had one. I think Pascal Siakam's dunk was great, but no, so because the Thunder don't have any highlights, you're going to say, well, it was the Achilles injury.
The whole thing
That's
matters.
Sad.
No, the guy is that we have perfect is a tough word, but the shot of him laying there, he must have said, I tore it, and the trainer said, no, and he goes, I did, and he's punching the floor. That's hard not to remember.
And also, we're going to relive it for a year because he's not going to be back for a long time, which is sad.
Whatever, Tatum got hurt a month ago. Is that
already in a championship?
Yeah, is that? I know, but
it wasn't Game 7 of the finals.
But we're not going to relive it for a year. I already forgot about Tatum.
I forgot about Lillard's.
I didn't even know about Lillard's. I was like, wait, what?
I love when we break news to Perloff on his own show.
An Achilles tendon tear is like a sprained ankle now. Like, is there anybody who hasn't torn their Achilles in the NBA in the last 2 years?
Yeah, this is not a good thing, by the way. And it's different, I think, when you're 6'8", or Haliburton's 6'6".
But it's not a good thing when a team has a historic win NBA title and you guys remember it for an injury on the other team. That's a bad sign for the NBA too. I think the NBA should be more worried about that you guys think that's the defining image of this playoffs. Like, that's not good.
That's not the NBA's fault, though. That's just bad luck. Haliburton had to be a star who was the star of the playoffs.
But if
game winners, and then he had this devastating injury that's going to impact the next season. That's not the NBA's fault.
It's not the NBA. I'm not saying it's the NBA's fault, but it's not a good sign for the NBA. Like, I remember when Michael Jordan switched hands. That's a good thing. Like, everyone's into it. This is not a good sign. This is not pointing to excitement. I mean, it's pointing to a negative after this great title. Like, that says, oh, boy, the NBA's in trouble.
But if Magic would have tore his Achilles in Game 2 of the finals, I think that we would be thinking about those images of Magic Johnson sitting there holding
When did he get hurt in that finals?
He came into the finals hurt. So he was already injured. He was dealing with a thigh injury, I think. But, like, if there was a catastrophic injury to the star of one of the other teams in any of those Jordan finals, I still think the image would be of one of those, Charles Barkley, if he was laying around, like, holding his arm or whatever. Like, I think those images would be also a big part of the story.
I don't think people even remember the Magic was hurt for that first Jordan title.
Because he played. Because he didn't have, like, a thing where he was gone, he's crying, and he's being carried to the locker room. We didn't have that moment. He played through it.
And Jordan was Jordan.
Yeah, and like as Bogusch said, what's the Thunder highlight?
A Lou Dort reverse layup. I mean, there could have been a moment. There could have been a true knockout three. There could have been a
Caruso's like, I got to deliver. I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a shot.
He also had so much time to realize it was never going to work, and he could have adjusted. And he still was like, no, we're going fastball here.
He was taking a shot.
You can vote, by the way, at Maggie Perloff. You can call us, 888-710-4ISN, or if you're shy, that's fine. You can go to Maggie and Pearl on X. You can answer the question, when you look back at the 2025 NBA Finals, how we remember it. OKC winning its first title or Indiana losing Haliburton. It's 51% to 49%. It's really, really close.
Again, worth pointing out, the Pacers did not fall apart immediately after the injury, taking a 1-point lead into halftime, but the Thunder stormed through the third, 34-20, then pushed the lead to 22 in the fourth. They won the game 103-91 for the franchise's first title since 1979. No full diagnosis on Haliburton last night. He did not speak to reporters either, but did stay at the arena to support his teammates. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 29 points, 12 assists, the unanimous choice for Finals MVP. So that makes him the first player in 25 years to win that award, regular season MVP, and the scoring title. The championship parade is tomorrow. Kevin Durant's off to Houston. His long rumored trade is done, kinda, and KD's going to one of his reported desired teams. The Rockets sending Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick on Wednesday, and 5 second-rounders to Phoenix. The swap not official until July 6th. Sunday Night Baseball, the Phillies stayed hot, 7-1 over the Mets. They've now won 9 of 11, while New York has dropped 8 of 9, so Philly has a 1-game lead atop the NL East. Yesterday afternoon, LSU held off Coastal Carolina 5-3 for a 2-game sweep for the national title. The SEC has now won the last 6 College World Series, 11 of the last 16, but this game is going to be best known for Coastal manager Kevin Schnall getting tossed in the bottom of the first inning for a brief, not that angry argument over balls and strikes. Schnall and most of America thought home plate ump Angel Campos needed to chill out a bit.
He authored.
Nope, shut up, Rick Carlisle.
It is what it is, but if that warranted an ejection, man, there'd be a lot of ejections. As an umpire, I feel like it's your job to manage the game, the national championship game, with some poise, some calmness, and a little bit of tolerance.
There was also some hilarity when I think it was the first base ump came running in to get between Schnall and home plate ump, and he tripped and fell over backwards, heels in the air.
Talk about a moment.
Yeah, and then he got up and apparently signaled for Schnall to be suspended, and Schnall said after the game, I can't be blamed for his lack of athleticism.
It got real testy.
Yeah. And unnecessary. It didn't have to be like that.
No, it didn't. And you hate when the umpires don't de-escalate things. In fact, escalate things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and these guys, by the way, have a suspension for the beginning of next year now attached to getting ejected. So unless the NCAA rescinds that, they have to miss the first base coach and the manager, the first 2 games of next year.
Yeah, I'm sure the NCAA is going to do the right thing here. We can always count on them.
Always.
Wow, I mean,
look, with sarcasm.
Yeah. If you could tell me who Coastal Carolina plays in their first 2 baseball games of next year.
Probably a school that you've never heard of.
Yes.
888-710-4ISN. Bogusch, thanks so much. Yeah, that was funny. I mean, when somebody trips like that, it will always be.
I mean, it was a full somersault.
I know. It's like I don't know. I would have got popped up and looked around
I would have left. Got up, exit stage left.
Okay, see you guys on the phones. Oh, man. One of our callers has nailed it. There is somebody who they are saying should be on the Mount Olympus of Houston, Texas, that we did not get. Perloff, and I'm going to blame you because you know this person actually in real life. Going to get to that next. Who are the 4 sports gods from Houston? We've got the Durant trade. We've got the finals ending last night. So much to do. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Got finals, got a Kevin Durant trade, but our Mount Olympus of Houston, Texas, the four sports gods of Texas, Pearl, have now taken center stage. Just to recap, you and I both have Akeem Olajuwon and J.J. Watt. I went with George Foreman, raised in Houston's Fifth Ward, the two-time world heavyweight champion. And I also went with Jeff Bagwell out of all the Astros that I could have picked.
Okay, so I had very similar with Akeem and J.J. Watt. Then I went with Earl Campbell and Jose Altuve.
Yeah, I couldn't get there with Altuve. Earl Campbell for sure. Chris is in Vancouver, has a great one that we both missed, but I'll blame Perloff a little bit more than myself for this one. What's up, Chris?
Hey, guys. So, Maggie, did you say Altuve, you don't think he cheated?
No, I think he definitely cheated. I didn't think that he had the buzzer. I think he was definitely benefiting from the trash can banging like they all were in the video, but I don't really think he had a buzzer. I really just think he didn't want his shirt ripped off.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Yeah, so the guy I'm about to mention, shame on the both of you for not having this guy on your list. Mr. Houston loves his Houston Cougars. None other than the legendary CBS broadcaster, Jim Nantz.
Chris,
Yeah, I mean,
it's an awesome one. It's an awesome one.
He went to Houston, but like, why would he be on Houston's Mount Olympus and not like
Because
America?
He works with you guys, and B, he's a legend. Okay, show some respect, Perloff.
Yeah, but it's not like Vin Scully, where he's like Jim Nantz has never called an Astros game.
I'm not going to give you my tie now after this conversation. I was actually going to give you my tie, but now it's over. It's over for you.
Wait, Chris, do you know the legendary story about Perloff beating Jim Nantz on Jim Nantz's own golf course?
Which was in California, by the way, not Houston. But please.
I don't think so, but I would love to hear it.
So Jim Nantz has the 9th hole at Pebble in his backyard recreated, and he has everyone who comes over has a contest. So you get closest to the hole, and I beat him closest to the hole, even though he's famously a college golfer at University of Houston. But wait, I want to go back to this. And there's no way Jim Nantz belongs on the Mount Olympus of Houston. Like, it's not even. You have to call games for your city to be on the Mount Olympus, right? Like, then I have one, who should get it is Larry Durker of the Astros. Because remember that guy, he was the broadcaster, and he was such a big part of the team. They made him the manager off being the play-by-play guy. But remember that?
Yes, but I actually think Nantz is one of those exceptions because, yes, I know he's a national broadcaster, but he is so Houston. I mean, he's very proudly Houston.
He's a huge Cougars fan, but...
Like, before this year, did anyone know that Joe Buck went to Indiana? Like, I didn't know that Joe Buck went to Indiana until he started talking about Indiana football on every broadcast.
Did you know Reggie Miller was a Pacer?
He played for them. I'm saying for Nantz, we all know.
That was a joke that he was just like, he was crying after the game last night. Anyway.
Love that.
Yeah, I saw that Reggie was crying.
So would you put Nantz on your Mount Olympus?
I feel bad now that I didn't.
Really? Who would you knock off?
I probably would have taken off Bagwell.
Well, yeah, Bagwell was probably a mistake on your part, but
it's not a mistake. And Chris, thank you for the call. So I'm losing.
Everyone I know locally they like Biggio.
I'm narrowly losing this poll to Perloff.
And I have Altuve on there.
And you have Altuve on there. Now I know Bagwell had some rumors about the steroids, but guys, he was never actually found to have taken steroids.
Now listen, I'm not sure, but I think Biggio is like Mr. Astro, and Bagwell was a better player, but Biggio managed, and I think he's he's like the Jeff Conine of Houston.
Listen, there's a couple rumors about Biggio. So they both are
little
played
Craig Biggio?
In the steroid era?
Little slap the baseball Craig Biggio? No.
That voice is funny, by the way. Slap the baseball of Craig Biggio?
Craig Biggio?
Wilson's in California. Wilson, what do we get right and what do we get wrong about the 4 sports gods from Houston?
Well, I didn't even need the coffee this morning. The Altuve thing got me going, too, especially as a Dodger fan.
Yep.
I think you got some of these right. I do believe that Olajuwon belongs on that list. The Warren Moon suggestion, though, I'm kind of at, he's kind of with the Rose of Tyler, Texas, Earl. And but the guy that you really got to put on that list is, I'm sorry, the Ryan Express.
Yeah.
7 no-hitters. A strikeout record that will never be touched, okay? Those records, I think, are going to be hallowed, like the 56-game hitting streak. And the other one you guys touched on, too, Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast of all time. Now, I know we're kind of preoccupied with the sports team concept, but, I mean, she is at the top. By the way, real quick, taking the Durant thing, it's just going to be another train stop, okay? Connecting him with this Haliburton thing, nobody wanted to put an asterisk on the Warriors in the Toronto series where he had the high ankle sprain that turned into a torn Achilles and Klay Thompson going down in the same game.
Yep.
Future Hall of Famers, and nobody put an asterisk on that series.
Well, Perloff
anyway,
I think some people did. Some people did. Wilson, thank you. But by the way, what's the lasting memory to me? It's like, God, I've never seen a guy come and leave a champion faster than Kawhi Leonard did in Toronto. That's what I always remember. That series. Like, man, he didn't even consider staying.
We all knew that was going to be temporary. Just a quick thing on Nolan Ryan. Perloff and I both did not put him on our Houston Mount Olympus, but maybe we were wrong about that. He did play 9 years in Houston. That's longer than any other stop. He played 8 years for the California Angels. Now, here's the deal. He had more strikeouts for the Angels and more no-hitters for the Angels. I believe there's only one, even though it was 9 years, I believe it was only one no-hitter out of his illustrious career was in Houston.
Oh, he had more strikeouts in his Angels years?
That's what I'm seeing here on Baseball Reference. I'm seeing 1,866 strikeouts for Houston and 2,416 strikeouts when he was with the Angels. Crazy. Numbers are insane either way. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. The finals. Is there an asterisk? Next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
EJ's at the bar with a cold, cheap beer. Says Trae Young's no big deal, don't bring him here. But the Knicks lost again and it's starting to show as he punches the jukebox playing Old Town Road. I'm over Trae, he shouts as he tips his hat, but his phone's buzzing with Hawks game stats. Pickups parked outside, girls waiting to ride, but EJ's ranting about Trae instead of his bride. EJ don't care about Trae Young, no way, but he's crying in his beer when the Hawks outplay. Just a small town punk with a lucky streak, but Trae.
Late night vibes hitting up the show. Maggie and Perloff dropping tapes that glow. And the chat's done a film low, runs the scene. Spitting fire so hot it makes the snow seem mean. Down in Louisiana, Drunk Sam's lit. Rare snow on the ground, but he don't give a shit. Snow in the south, man, what the fuck's this? While Bilott's ghosting work, he's always dismissed. Stunning Filmo, dropping shit like whoa. Drunk Sam's bust snow on the floor. Daily says time to bust the plow now. While Bilott's at home, chilling somehow. Almost spitting truth, he's the chat's big hitter. Drunk Sam's sipping whiskey in his glitter. Maggie's crushing stacks, Perloff's got the flow. And Bilott's at home. Late night vibes.
Hey.
Oh, Shep had a vision. He thought he was grand, thought LeBron would pick up, thought he'd make a stand. But the Lakers saw his email. Remember Bobo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV. I think I went to school and watched less wrestling. Bob Custer in Nevada. 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 Do you remember him, or are you too young? I don't know where he is, but I don't care. He had curly hair, he always wore a tie. He always wore a tie, I don't know why. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Bob Custer in Nevada. Do you remember him? Or remember Bobo Brazil, I grew out of wrestling. I was 12 or 13, I stopped watching TV. I moved out of the house, we sold the TV.
Daily was waiting by that glowing screen. Hope the night shift crown would go to the king. Ship held it down night after night, with fire in his voice and truth in his mic. But the news came in like a cold hard slap. Pat Boyle's got it, felt like a trap. No shade on the kid, but let's be real. Shepherd earned a late night deal. Now Shepard ain't sleeping and Bailey's in tears. The Shepherd maniac's been loyal for years. We stayed up late, we rode every wave, but they gave it to Pat and dug Ship's grave. So we howled at the moon and cursed at the sky, asking one question: why, oh why, oh why?
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
SGA on the handle, out front, down the lane spurts, kicks, left wing dub, wants three, it's online, give it to him, baby! Thunder by 21! Timeout Pacers! It's happening! It's happening! 89-68, 8:27 to play. They're on their feet, delirious at Paycom Center.
Matt Pindo, Thunder Radio, one of the best, and he was chronicling it all last night. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, Pearl, kind of a wire-to-wire NBA season for them. They were the best team in the regular season, a historic playoff team, and they win the championship, and they got a little help. Now, we have no idea if Tyrese Haliburton would have held up throughout an entire game. We just don't know. What we do know, though, is yesterday he did, it looks like, tear his Achilles with 4 minutes left to go in the first quarter. And it's unfortunate because of the type of player Haliburton is, which is the guy you don't see coming in a lot of ways, the one who is sparking the fourth quarter comebacks, who's hitting 4 different game winners in these playoffs alone. He was just that guy you can never count out. Yeah. And with him off the floor, it was just a completely different game.
Well, I mean, listen, the Pacers peaked way too early in this Pacers-Thunder game. I was like, oh, Haliburton's getting his threes out of his system now. This is good for the Thunder, which is funny because they started out. Haliburton usually doesn't show up until the end. He showed up early. He looked like a house on fire yesterday. And no, the injury was terrible to watch. And it could have been an all-time game. Might not have been. I have no idea what was going to happen. I've been giving you a hard time on giving the Thunder a bit of an asterisk for this. But yeah, anything could have happened, and it was super exciting. It stunk when he got hurt. Just terrible.
I'm just curious if other people out there feel the same way. I think we all collectively probably had the same thought watching from home, which is the moment Haliburton went down, I was like, that's it.
I guarantee 100% of the audience did.
Right, okay. But from there, how did you feel? Like, are you going to remember this more for that Haliburton injury? And you know what? Here's the thing. A lot of champions get a little bit of luck along the way. And we had a caller earlier in the show point out rightfully that even the Pacers got to face some teams that were less than 100%. Now, none of those teams were missing their best player. And that's what Haliburton is for Indiana. But you get I don't say lucky. It's a devastating injury. But for OKC, what you thought could have been a tense Game 7 when they were really going to have to, fight tooth and nail. Well, it just changed because Haliburton got hurt.
Well, I mean, what is the story of the 2020s NBA basketball? It's which stars are hurt. I mean, honestly, if you're going to start playing that asterisk game, I mean, who knows if Curry and Butler had been healthy and really had time, and if Luka and LeBron. I mean, how many times has LeBron been hurt over the last couple of years going to the playoffs? That's the thing. This was dramatic because it was Game 7, but injuries have defined the playoffs the last several years, haven't they? It's been probably the number one storyline.
Can we talk about the irony of that? That this is the era of load management, which is done simply to try to keep guys healthy for the right time for the postseason, and yet now it feels like we have more injuries than ever. What's going on?
Maybe you're honest. Maggie Gray figuring out something that people should be paying attention to.
Well, I mean, EJ, I saw you fighting with people online about this, about pace and space, and Perloff, you always say that it's a less physical game now. They've added a little bit more into it, but it's a much less physical game than the 90s or whatever.
No Anthony Mason, that's for
there's
sure.
no Bill Lambiers, like they just don't have would not have a role in this NBA.
That's the WNBA now.
Yes, seriously. No kidding. The W is no joke. Coming there, you're going to get your head taken off. But anyway, for the guys, it's not like that, but there's a new type of strain that your body gets put under. It's not the Lambeer giving you an arm bar. It's the pace and space and guys, just playing so many more possessions. And I think it's leading to some of these, soft tissue injuries where guys are pulling, straining things, not breaking legs so much, but just the hamstrings and such.
Is it also too, and I'm just theorizing, the way the players are built? I mean, a lot of these guys are really tall, super skinny guys who are getting hurt. I mean, Haliburton, Tatum, Durant.
Dame Lillard's not that tall.
Yeah.
For an NBA player. For a human, he is, but not for NBA.
In the league of the Charles Oakleys, and you're right, they weren't moving as fast, so that probably has a lot to do with it. But the big men, it was a different set of injuries, though. It's not like players haven't been getting hurt for a long time.
That's
the
true.
big men would hurt their feet.
Yep.
That was always a big problem. Had a million knee injuries.
Yeah, Bill Walton, people like that,
yeah.
most notably.
But anyway, I do think this Achilles is something people got to watch. So we should probably talk to Dr. Positano, our show's famous foot doctor, at some point too. Why the new strain? He talks about one thing that is affecting health more than anything in Americans: the pickleball problem.
Oh, it's devastating.
It's a
scourge
the
on America.
pickle apocalypse. He says like half his clients are coming in because they're too old to play pickleball.
Well, it's either pickleball or it's going to be kickball. Which, by the way, so I didn't want to bring up, old stuff. But if you guys have been listening to this show for any length of time, you know that last summer got basically completely wiped out for our executive producer, EJ Stewart, because of a devastating kickball injury suffered at Deion Dawkins' celebrity charity kickball event. Did you see that it was this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Zach Gubb had a whole new team.
Yeah. And we
For
saw
many
Zach
reasons.
at Fanatics Fest.
Because we were terrible.
Well, I mean, some of us. But
Oh, I'm sorry. You were redefining. You were like a 5-tool player.
yes, I was the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of kickball.
Mag would have been great. We would have been banging some trash cans, but I was too hurt.
We couldn't even cheat our way into like the semifinals of that. But I told Zach when we saw him at Fanatics Fest on Friday, I said, smart. Don't invite any of us. Like, don't even do that. It would have been awkward. We all would have had to say no, just as solidarity with EJ. We can't step back foot on that field. And just like bad juju all around.
Yeah, I think he did send me a tweet, though, being like, hey, we have a kickball spot that's available if you need one. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, no shot. EJ was wearing a brace that was as like, like the scaffolding that holds up like the rockets that go into space.
Oh, yeah.
Your knee brace felt like it was as big as one of those.
Yeah, it felt like it was 20 pounds.
How you slept in that thing. Anyway.
It was a lot of long nights, Maggie.
No way. So pickleball, kickball, no, and now NBA and guys tearing Achilles. 8 guys have torn their Achilles.
Yeah, just USA Today, I saw this put out a list of 4 theories real quick that the small guys are going to having to cover the big guys too much and it's wearing them down because of switches. The shoes.
Caruso on Jokic?
Yeah, well, it was like Jason Tatum was rebounding with Jokic for half that series last year and eventually it wore them down. Karl Anthony Towns is matched up with a guard. Last night we saw Chet Holmgren was chasing around TJ McConnell for about 15 minutes. It was the funniest side plot. McConnell owned him in the first half and then he came back. Anyway, the shoes, heard a lot about that.
The low tops.
Kind of what you guys are saying, too many games. And what's the last one here? Guys playing through injuries. Like maybe certain situations, KD and Haliburton come to mind. I don't know if that's a trend. I feel like guys have always tried to tough it out.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Isaiah Thomas on a bad ankle, still trying to play. When you get to this point in the playoffs, like how do you tell people I'm sitting out?
Well, it feels like all injuries are different. Calf injury, you don't want to play through that. Ankle injury, you can't make it that much worse, right? Isn't that? I feel like we've heard that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you could hurt your ankle more worse, but not really anything else.
Yeah,
and it's not like you're gonna break it. It's.
I just think for sports fans, I think that's a hard sell. Because Kendrick Perkins came out and said once they tell you have a calf strain, like TyreseHaliburton just shouldn't play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So, okay, he ends up being right here because he tore the Achilles. But I just don't think in this day and age you can do that. You're making so much money. There's so much criticism and so much scrutiny that you're under, even more than in the 70s and 80s. And I just think that's an unrealistic expectation to have for someone who signed a $140 million contract to sit out because of a calf strain. I just don't think the sports fan would have it.
Well, yes, I agree, but I do think, and I hate to be the guy that's saying I want to blame the media for everything, but I do think some of it also becomes a dialogue about the injuries because remember we had the second round when Garland had this toe injury that we kind of didn't know anything about.
Yeah, Meanwhile, just had major surgery on it.
A lot of people were like, get out there, he's soft, why isn't he playing? And then he's going to be out for 4 months with this toe injury. We've seen so many years where guys are hurt and you say, why didn't that guy go out there? And a lot of that's being pushed by media members. Like Udonis Haslem said that he thought that the Pacers played possum against the Thunder and that Haliburton actually wasn't nearly as hurt as they were saying he was. Well, and that's why he played so well. But
that's not your average run-of-the-mill media member. Udonis Haslem's played 18 years in the league.
But
people could take their cues from him. Like if anyone knows about sports injuries, it'd be Haslem.
Counterpoint, I do remember the narrative. There are a lot of people in the media who said KD should not go back out there.
I did remember that.
They also had an all-star team who had already won 2 titles.
It was also KD's injury was so obvious he was about to pop an Achilles. Like it just felt we forgot. You said it well earlier. We forgot that Haliburton was even hurt by the time he showed up in Game 7. But KD was gimpier. I'm telling you, KD was shaky. I don't think we kill NBA players. I don't hear as much. Maybe I'm not. Football players, I feel like that's the culture of toughness. Basketball's more of a finesse sport.
No, I mean, I think that the NBA already gets killed because the load management.
Definitely. So, I think they do get killed. I totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
With the injuries, though? Like saying, you should tough it out?
Every time there's injury, he's always like, this guy, is he just load managing or is he really hurt? Like, we do that every single time.
I saw a lot of, should Haliburton be out there if he can't, like, they should play McConnell because Haliburton's hurting the team by being out there. I saw a lot of that.
So this is where I think the media is actually totally off the hook on this because you have teams that will play a guy through 3 quarters and then literally load manage him the 4th quarter to make sure they lose. Looking at you, Utah. Looking at you, Toronto. Yep. They would do all this crazy stuff. So people, and then they say, he's got like knee tendonitis. It's like, come on, man.
I think in the NBA, it's different though, because if you have a slightly tweaked ankle, you're hurting the team because you can't move as well on defense. So I think some people are like, don't be selfish, get off the court. So that happens too. Because basketball, you got to be so quick that you can't be even slightly injured.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We're asking if there is an asterisk at all on this championship for Oklahoma City. That's not the only thing on the Bunsen burner today. We have the Kevin Durant trade to Houston, and just by pure coincidence, we are also doing the Mount Olympus of Houston, Texas today, the 4 sports gods. Now, Durant's not going to be on there. And I thought it was actually kind of funny where Lance Zierlein, who joined us earlier in the show, who's as Houston as it gets, he also said James Harden definitely not on there. Now, I get it. It did not end well with Harden. You can't quit on the court and then expect people to love you. But remember there was a story that he was going to go back to Houston after the Brooklyn fiasco and Sixers.
Too soon.
I think he ends up on a Mount Olympus, just not right now.
Too soon, yeah. He needs some space from everything that went down there. And also, no, I don't think he does. I mean, Mount Olympus, again, if the Mount Olympus was 20 spots, maybe, but it's 4.
Perloff and I both have Akeem Olajuwon, and we both have J.J. Watt on our Mount Olympus, the 4 sports gods from Houston. Where we differ, I went with Jeff Bagwell for my Astro, and I also went with George Foreman, who was famously raised in Houston's 5th Ward.
Yeah, I went with Jose Altuve. A lot of interesting responses to that. And Earl Campbell, great Houston Oiler.
Let's go to Mike, who's in Syracuse. Mike, we missed somebody big, didn't we?
You did. You did. Early days of the WNBA, first 4 WNBA championships were won by the Mercury Comets.
Yep.
First 4 finals MVPs were won by this lady. That's Cynthia Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper is obviously legendary. You know, what's so interesting is that you go back to those very beginning early times of the WNBA. Do you think that counts against Cynthia Cooper because the league was just finding their footing? Now, to be fair, the Liberty were also a really big deal at that point. There were a couple really cornerstone teams, and it's just a shame that Houston doesn't have their team anymore.
Now, while I was on hold, I actually came up with an even bigger one, and I think you guys are all going to agree with this one. Even if you don't put this person which is not a person, but it's a building, the Houston Astrodome.
Big building,
belongs on the Mount Olympus, or it should take the place of the Mount Olympus, and all these players should just be on top of it. The first dome stadium in the history.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
When you start talking about artificial turf, what was it known as for years?
AstroTurf, baby.
It was known as AstroTurf.
I still call it AstroTurf.
Come on.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great one, especially because on the piggybacking off of Friday, thank you for that, when we did the Mount Olympus from Boston, and who said the Green Monster?
Yeah, good one.
I think it was a caller who said that. Not even Fenway, just the Green Monster, and we loved that, so the Astrodome should probably get the same treatment.
Can I just say one thing? Stop saying we miss things. Like, the exercise is not to come up with a list of 35 people from the city. The hard part is the 4. Like, you said, you're right, we missed it. We missed it. You understand it's 4, not
Well, maybe
24.
Cynthia Cooper belongs on there more than J.J. Watt. I mean, J.J. Watt didn't sniff a championship. I don't know. I mean, I have J.J. Watt on there.
That's a pretty big, that maybe covers a lot of ground in that little sentence right there.
Well, she was a 4-time WNBA champion, 4-time Finals MVP, a 2-time MVP. She got more hardware than Watt. Watt's the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, which is really hard.
So you're putting Cynthia Cooper on there.
I'm just saying, when you say, stop saying we miss stuff, like maybe she does deserve to be on there over, I don't know, Jose Altuve.
I'd be surprised if a lot of people in Houston felt that way.
I mean, she didn't cheat. Dom is in San Francisco. What's up, Dom?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I'm going to need a little bit of latitude today. It could become slightly protracted. I have Jimmy Wynn. I have Earl Campbell, Warren Moon, and Nolan Ryan. And for my musical group, I have ZZ Top. And I've got a home run and a new category.
Wait, you got a what? What's the last thing?
A new category that's a home run, the god of injuries, and it's no doubt it's got to be, drum roll please, Achilles.
Oh, man, Dom,
Starring
we walked
Brad
right
Pitt.
into that one, didn't we? Dom, thank you for that. We had not had a call yet on Jimmy Wynn. We did have a couple calls, and even EJ said Warren Moon would have been on his Mount Olympus.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, but I don't remember Warren Moon winning anything there. Does that matter?
Well, J.J. Watt didn't win anything.
True.
Yeah.
Jeff Bagwell didn't win anything. Well, he won an MVP, but he didn't win a championship. He's on mine.
Warren Moon played a total of 9 playoff games for the Oilers. He was 3-6.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it gets caught up in them leaving for Tennessee too. The kind of like that era of the Oilers is a little lost on me.
You know, we did not do the musician Mount Olympus. That's kind of happened on a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, I think
a lot of these cities. ZZ Top definitely on there. I mean, Beyonce was already mentioned once today.
I think you need 4 Beyonces. Really, there's no other.
Well, I think you'd get some huge country acts out of Houston. Jerry Jeff Walker in Lubbock, right?
Lyle Lovett, yeah.
Yeah,
Travis Scott was mentioned earlier.
Travis Scott.
Megan Thee Stallion.
To me,
Bun B.
Oh yeah, UGK. Yeah.
Travis Scott would be the
wasn't
his
famous
even
thing
more than
Astro
Beyonce?
World?
Like he is really comes back to Houston.
Yeah, Travis Scott. That's Astro World. Yeah,
But that was a sad ending, right?
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, that festival. Yeah,
At
it was
the
terrible.
festival.
Yeah, but the album and all the stuff with that is huge and part of his imagery.
To me, I know but Beyonce goes to the national. Some people just go immediately to the national Mount Rushmore and don't really. But I guess, yeah, you're right, Houston.
She really reps Houston, though. To Carla's point earlier, like I know, I guess Jim Nance does too, but everyone knows. I feel like Beyonce's from Houston. She reps it hard.
Beyonce v. Jim Nance was the face-off we never thought we'd have today. John is in Vancouver. John, who had the better list of sports gods from Houston, me or Perloff?
Well, I guess I'm most. Mine matches Perloff's more because I would have J.J. Watt, Elijah and Earl Campbell, who was running back. Yeah. and of course, he had the misfortune of those Houston Oilers teams twice going up against the dynasty Steelers. But I would have put not Altuve. I would definitely have Nolan Ryan on there, just because he spent 27 years, a third of his career was with Houston, and I think it's just the individual greatness of Nolan Ryan. I mean, I know he didn't get the championships like Altuve, but like guys.
John, thank you so much for that. So does it matter? I don't know if this matters at all. I'm just merely bringing it up. The fact that Nolan Ryan had the 7 no-hitters, right? That only one of them happened with the Houston Astros. Does that matter at all?
Yeah, of course it matters. He had a lot more. I looked at the stats. He had a lot more playoff success in Houston. Well, he won a World Series in New York, but he pitched 6 playoff games in Houston, pitched 1 in California, 1 in New York. He actually won 1 World Series, right? 69.
Yes, he was on 69.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever got back. But it's so funny because he's the great, like his win-loss record's terrible. In many, many years when he was just getting everybody out, but the team around him didn't match it.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So let's keep them coming here. The 4 sports gods from Houston, Texas. We also have a question for you. Do you put an asterisk next to this OKC championship because Tyrese Haliburton got hurt so early last night in Game 7? Lots more to do. We will get to our M&P 500, whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a huge sports weekend.
You're enough.
Go to the kingship. Amy Lawrence in her power. But wait, hold up. No seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest. Infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing. No place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. A burning question. Who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never messed with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes the studio wall, but Amy's still standing, no time for lies. Someone's gonna pay, no more alibis. Who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not Pete Bellotti, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? The chair is gone, Amy's on fire. Infinity Sports has one desire: return the throne before the show, or Amy's wrath will surely glow. Who stole Amy's chair? Zach and Ryan, do you even care? Is it hidden under Hickey's hair? Or maybe Gub's got it, he swears, I swear. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's still not there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? So if you see a chair on the go, rolling around on some late night show, call Infinity, Odyssey 2, Amy's coming, and she's looking for you.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
Aiming for new heights, but fate took a turn on that somber play. Left us all speechless, nothing to say. Chase me, oh, it has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush. Dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Once scarce Rest on the field, now a quiet rest. Each stride a memory, we thought you the best. The journey's paused, the spirit feels heavy. Oh, how we miss you, strong and steady, chasing. Oh, it has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush.
45 seconds
on
remaining.
hold, cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Can the stars align once more for you? Hear the whispers in the morning. Stand by you in highs and lows, waiting for the day you rise and glow. And chasing all that has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush.
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. All right, Mount Olympus today, Houston. I went with Hakeem Olajuwon, Jose Altuve, J.J. Watt, and Earl Campbell as my 4 sports gods from the city of Houston. Maggie?
I also went with Hakeem Olajuwon, undisputed. I went with J.J. Watt, maybe a little more disputed. And I went with George Foreman, famously from Houston, raised in the 5th Ward of Houston, was a 2-time heavyweight champ, and we just lost him recently. And I also went with Jeff Bagwell. Of all the Astros, this was a tough one. He broke the tie because of his MVP. Let's get some expertise on this, shall we? Beyond me and Perloff, of course. And let's check in with Raheel Ramzanali, who joins us from Houston. He's got the CityCast Houston podcast, which is Houston's biggest pod. He also does play-by-play for UFC Fight Pass, so we got some UFC questions for him as well. Raheel, it's Maggie and Pearl. Thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thank you so much for having me. Love these picks. But, man, we're about to get into it because I've got some thoughts for sure.
Okay, well, tell us, what's the most egregious thing we did? What did we get wrong?
Okay, Bagwell. Love him. One of the most iconic Houston Astros out there. Absolutely, right? You got to put him in there for the Houston Astros Mount Olympus. But when it comes to Houston sports overall, his failures in the playoffs, and Craig Biggio as well, right? Like Craig Biggio's a Hall of Famer. They don't make it in for me. It's Altuve. And I know the first thing, I saw some of the responses on y'all's X account when you put Altuve on there. But the cheating stuff, I get it. Like, fans will never be okay with it outside of Houston, right? Altuve was not one of the main drivers in the cheating scandal. You want to put Beltran in there, Correa, mention those names, that's fine. And I think the redemption from 2019, winning that World Series as well, one of the most clutch moments in Astros baseball history, the home run off of Chapman. Altuve is that guy. He is the greatest Astro ever. You have to put him in the Mount Olympus.
Okay, let's talk about the individual sport athletes. Maggie went with George Foreman and not another individual athlete's come up a lot. We've gotten some calls, Simone Biles.
Yeah. Simone Biles has to be in there. She's the greatest of all time. She is gymnastics. She is that person. Simone Biles is Houston, and she moved here as a foster child. She adopted the city as her own. She has her training center here now. I know now that she moves around a little bit with her husband, chasing the NFL dream. But Simone Biles is Houston, and Houston is a sprawling city, right? So like her gymnastics center is out there in Spring, which is about 30 minutes from downtown Houston. But that's what we are. We are a sprawling city. Like, we claim all the suburbs as Houston. So,
well, Raheel, I just ask you this one simple question: did you have a grill? You did. We did.
Yeah,
I did. You did. We all had a grill.
The Mount Olympus.
You went to college, had one for sure.
Yeah, it's not the Mount Olympus of kitchen appliances, Maggie. It's the Mount Olympus of Houston sports.
George Foreman would make it on 2 then. He definitely would. Raheel Ramzanali is joining us. CityCast Houston pod, which is just massive. All things Houston and play-by-play for UFC Fight Pass. Okay, so we can argue about this until the cows come home. Do you want to give us your definitive sports gods of Houston?
Absolutely. Number 1, Hakeem. Like, if we're going to rank it, Hakeem to me is the greatest Houston athlete ever. And I am biased in this. When they won their 2 championships, I was about 8 to 10 years old, in that range, right? Like in a 2-year span. But not only that, I immigrated here to Houston from Karachi, Pakistan. So being a Muslim kid, seeing a Muslim NBA player win championships, fasting during Ramadan, was life-changing, right? Like, it gave us hope that, like, hey, we can play this sport, not at a level as, the greatest defensive center of all time, one of the greats, but it was like, hey, I want to play basketball because Hakeem is doing it. So for me, Hakeem is number 1. I have to put him in there. I think y'all as well, like, we know what Hakeem stands for. Number 2, it's Altuve. With everything I mentioned, I have to put Altuve in there. Now, this is where it gets interesting because J.J. Watt absolutely is one of the greats, but nobody mentioned Andre Johnson. He is a Hall of Famer. He is that guy in a time when the wide receivers in the NFL were like the guys and the drama queens. He was your favorite wide receiver's favorite wide receiver. Everyone has nothing but great things to say about him. He put up stats that are incredible with quarterbacks that were not that incredible. I have to put Andre Johnson in over J.J. Watt right now. I know J.J. is going to become a Hall of Famer eventually, but what he did for a new franchise, for the stats, for who he played with and still putting up numbers, I'm putting Andre Johnson in. What do y'all think?
Watt's a little more decorated, though, right? Andre Johnson is a Hall of Famer, you're right, and he was sick. But also, personality-wise, Watt was Sportsman of the Year. Maggie and I were both at Sports Illustrated at the time because he did so much for hurricane relief.
Yeah, he shared it with Altuve.
Yeah, I feel like Watt was it seems like from the outside, a bigger figure in Houston.
Yes, in terms of popularity, for sure. Like, he brought in more fans, I would say, overall to the Texans. Right? Like, you had your everyday soccer mom watching because of J.J. Watts, as they called him, all right, because that's what, like the soccer moms are like, who is this J.J. Watts guy? Good-looking guy, all right? It's J.J. Watt, y'all, okay? I get it.
It's actually J.J. Swat. Chris Berman taught us that.
Yes, that's true. So, yes, I get it. For me, though, personally, Andre Johnson's that guy.
And who's the fourth one for you?
Simone Biles.
And Simone Biles.
Okay. It's Biles. Like, you can't leave her out, right? Like, she is the GOAT. She is the gymnast. She has changed the sport, the way it's covered. She's brought great conversation, right, about mental health to sports as well. I have to put her in.
Okay. I'm going to throw a curveball at you here.
Okay.
Who is, if you had to real quick, because I know you know music too, we just got a big argument. Who's the face of Houston music? Like, who's the, is it obvious? Because I don't think it's as obvious as everyone here does.
Oh, I think it's pretty obvious. It's Beyonce.
Yeah.
It's not, okay.
Thank you, Raheel.
So Travis Scott doesn't cut into that at all?
Yo, okay. Travis Scott at one point was like on the verge of becoming Houston's top guy. But after what happened at the Astroworld Festival, the tragedy, 10 people dying, the mismanagement of that. And I know Travis Scott didn't manage the festival, but after watching this new documentary on Netflix called Trainwreck, I can't put him up there. Like, at one point, I love Travis Scott. I wanted his shoes, but, like, revisiting that, we actually did an episode on CityCast Houston about that with a concert goer who was there, who was in that crush, and talking to them again and talking to the people that were there, the journalists who covered this. I can't put Travis Scott up there anymore. Like, I'm done with Travis Scott. As a Houstonian, I'm good. Like, go ahead, man.
Okay, what about, I know,
other city. Yeah.
And you're a Longhorn, I believe, right? What about college sports, high school sports? If someone from the outside, it seems like amateur football is a huge deal as well.
Oh, yeah. College football is everything here. High school football is, we're not in Houston. There are so many different suburbs. So we don't get like that small town Friday night lights feel anymore because the stadiums here, y'all have to come on a Friday. Okay, like these are small college stadiums. I'm not even joking. They're huge. So you don't get this like Friday night lights feel. You're not in Dillon, Texas, right? Like it's not like that. It's almost like its own little economy, but it's still it is that like college football, high school football is still a huge deal. And here's one that we didn't bring up: Vince Young. Championship. I was there at UT when he won the championship, and also the Rose Bowl against Michigan the year before. Two of the most iconic performances in college football history, right? But then the pro career kind of knocks him down. But Vince Young is another one that he's hard to leave off as well, being a Houston kid.
Raheel Ramzanali is joining us. CityCast Houston podcast. It's the biggest pod in Houston. He also does play-by-play for UFC Fight Pass. We're talking about Houston, Texas. These four sports gods from Houston taking center stage. If we expand this out to college, I mean, now we're
Vince Young. That's the one. We should have given him some stronger consideration. He's from Houston as well, right?
Yeah, he is from Houston. He reps Houston still. He's a good one, but if it's just pro sports, like his pro resume, it doesn't. Yeah, like it doesn't live up to any of the people we mentioned. But man, that run at UT was so much fun, and me being a student there, covering the team as well, the national championship year is like. I still think about them like, how lucky was I?
Oh, my God. That's awesome.
Raheel, before we let you go, do have one UFC question for you, because if we were going to do the Mount Olympus from my hometown of Binghamton, New York, then John Jones would clearly be on it. He retired the UFC champion and had a very checkered career, so it hasn't all been great stuff with John Jones. I realize that. But he did retire. So now there is a big decision that Dana White and the powers at UFC have to make about who Tom Aspinall is going to fight next. Do you have a thought on who he should be fighting next?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what you do now, because I think everyone was all in on this fight. And John Jones, talent-wise, I'm going to kind of like dodge this question and just talk about John Jones, if that's okay. When you watch as many fights as I've called almost 1,000 fights now for UFC Fight Pass, for Fury Fighting Championship, which is their number one feeder. And just watching fights, y'all, like John Jones in the cage was unbelievable. But I think the resume, you start going back and you start nitpicking a little bit, and you go like, who did he really face? Like all the big matchups that we always wanted, he never took those fights. And it's for me, like I'm starting to like kind of go back on this, like number one, is he the greatest of all time? And unfortunately, like we have to have this conversation. So this was a fight that if he would have won, it could have like cemented him. Like there's no doubt, like talent wise, who he fought, like this is the guy. But now it's like, I don't know. Like I'm open to having this conversation. Like, is he the GOAT?
Hey, Raheel, you have to come on in August. You promise us, because Maggie wants to put Sark on the hot seat, and I need to know all your thoughts on the Longhorns, because there's going to be so much attention on this team next year. It's going to be crazy.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. There's going to be so much. Maggie, you're not a Sark fan? Because if you're not, we're together on this one. How do you not get a touchdown? 1 yard. 1 yard. Come on, Sark. What are we doing here?
Thank you, Raheel. Yes.
No way. Come on.
Listen,
come on.
You got Arch Manning now.
Later, but 1 yard? Oh my gosh. I will never get over that.
Where was the program before Sark? Oh, anyway, August.
I know. Where was UT?
Save it for August.
Yeah, Raheel.
August. I will be back. I promise. And I can't wait, because, I will unload.
Fantastic. Awesome. Raheel Ramzanali. You can see, check him out, the CityCast Houston podcast. He does play-by-play for UFC Fight Pass. Obviously, super talented guy. Thanks so much, Raheel. We appreciate it. Enjoy your day.
Thank y'all so much for having me on. Go H-Town.
Thanks, bud.
I stand corrected on Biles. I thought that Foreman would be the individual athlete to be a sports god, but I stand corrected. Everyone else has said, no, it's not George Foreman, it's Simone Biles.
Did you see the George Foreman movie by any chance?
No.
It came out like a couple years. It's really, really good. It's bizarre. It's like kind of like it's in the theaters, but could have been made for him. He left Houston to train a lot. Yeah. Like he didn't stay in Houston. That's one of the key themes is he had to get away from home.
Interesting.
Which really, you're right. He's very much part of Houston, but he's another national Mount Rushmore guy, like Beyonce. Sorry, well, Travis Scott, I saw the documentary on Netflix. That's why I was thinking about him. Have you watched it yet?
I have not watched it, but now how sad is this, you know?
Well, I saw the video, people running into the Astrodome, right?
Was it? Or that was outside, wasn't it?
Outdoor festival. I don't know. Was it on the grounds of the Astrodome?
It was on the grounds of the Astrodome.
Oh, got it.
I saw in the trailer on Netflix. So, and by the way, that caller who said the Astrodome, that's an interesting call. That's a big deal.
We were talking about do buildings and inanimate objects somehow make it onto the Mount Olympus?
If one was going to, it would be that building.
Well, but the Green Monster, we haven't done Chicago yet, but the Ivy at Wrigley, I don't know.
The prison and Veterans Stadium.
Gods of the underworld. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, lots more to do. We got Bogusch coming in with headlines, and boy, were there a lot of them over the weekend. Kevin Durant got traded to Houston in a championship or bust move. We'll tell you which one it's going to be next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We do this every Monday. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a big weekend, Pearl? It's the M&P 500. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mean, stock up, obvious, Tom Brady, as always. He apparently won something called the Fanatics Fest, which was this big sports convention in New York City. He won their inaugural Fanatics game, won $1 million. Gave it away, but it was 8 events. Real quick, the 8 events, which we saw most of these. Maggie and I were there on Friday. A lot of stories out of that. Quarterback skills, basketball shooting, soccer goal scoring, baseball pitching accuracy, a washer-dryer hockey shooting challenge, a WWE superstar entrance, and a UFC striking challenge. And one more closest to the pin. These are all Tom Brady's skills. He killed the WWE entrance. I'm sure he was fine at UFC, played baseball famously. The guy can do everything, Maggie.
I know. Does anyone know what position Tom Brady played?
Catcher.
Yeah, he was a catcher.
Oh, okay.
In baseball. So here's the crazy part. I did see that UFC thing, or excuse me, the WWE thing, WWE. I was there where the celebrities were doing their entrances.
Right.
And I saw Gronk and Julian Edelman on Friday, and it was really fun. What was so surprising about Brady and almost like amazing, at one point Eli Manning comes out to try to he rips an Eli Manning jersey in half as like a heel. Eli comes out, gets on his back. With Eli Manning on Tom Brady's back, Brady goes down to the ground, picks up the jersey, and pops back up like he's got his kid on his back. And it was Eli Manning, a full-grown adult.
He's perfect.
It's like, is Tom Brady getting stronger? What is going on?
He's used to it. He carried the Patriots for 20 years.
There you go. Belichick. It was a really amazing Fanatics Fest. I know a lot of people have been talking about it because Kevin Durant got traded while he was doing a interview with Taylor Rooks. So it got a lot of press. But I thought much more organized this year. I was impressed.
You said it was an amazing Fanatics Fest. There's only been 2.
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, I saw Scoot Henderson.
Yep, you did see him.
Yeah. Go to our X feed if you want to see. I got some good feedback. We did a celebrity hunt.
Yeah.
Maggie destroyed me. Destroyed me.
It was a celebrity scavenger hunt. Perloff and I took a half an hour to see who could take the photos and find the most celebrities in the crowd. And I got Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Mark Wahlberg, CJ Stroud, and Perloff got...
I was like a half a mile from second-year running back Tyrone Tracy Jr.
And he took a picture of himself with a photo of Max Verstappen.
Yeah, that's the best I could do.
Big effort
photo in there, too.
Glad you went.
I didn't even have to put my picture with former Yankee closer Dellin Betances because I already had you beat by so much.
Yeah. I took 8 pictures of Scoot Henderson, the Trailblazers, and after a minute I go, hey, who am I taking a picture of? I guess it just didn't look like Scoot. He's much bigger than I thought. I'm like, that's Scoot Henderson? He looked like he was 6'8". Anyway.
I'm going to do a stock up for Chicago and the Cubs for finally bearing the hatchet here with Sammy Sosa. They welcomed Sosa back on Friday. It was part of a Legends thing they were doing. And this one has just been, we talk about these Mount Olympus, like the sports gods of every city. And Barry Bonds is on the Bay Area. And Jose Altuve is in Houston. It's unassailable. Guys, he's your guy, Chicago. And I know they were holding him to this crazy standard that he had to apologize or something for the steroid use. He did apologize, but he didn't say exactly for what. he's your guy. You know, just be proud of it. And it's a shame that got to where it got to, but now all is forgiven, Pearl.
Can you tell somebody that's your guy? I feel like that's their call, right?
Well, I think the fans in Chicago actually wanted to forgive him. I thought it was the team that actually was holding it against him with new owners who wanted him to apologize.
All right, real quick stock down. ESPN, for the production of their halftime show, it's not just this. They cut off Stephen A. mid-rant during the halftime of the NBA Finals. They need to expand this because how they're going to incorporate Shaq and Charles Barkley with those tight commercial breaks, they really need to reformat their halftime show. I'm not even going to get into whether the analysis is good or not, but the guys don't have a chance. There's just not enough time. And it drives me crazy.
It was a little clunky yesterday.
Yeah, and they cut Stephen A. mid-sentence.
Yeah.
Some people probably appreciated that. Not.
That's a whole other topic. My stock down, and he handles it like a pro every single time, and he's such a class act, but I got to give it to Tommy Fleetwood. He's now 0 for 84 in PGA Tour starts, including blowing a lead yesterday at the TPC River Highlands, right? In Cromwell, Connecticut. So congrats. This is stock up Keegan Bradley, who ends up winning the tournament, even though he came into the final round 3 shots under. And it was Fleetwood missing a pair of putts within 6 feet twice over the last 5 holes. He had a 1-shot lead from the middle of the 18th fairway, came up just short, and took 3 putts from 50 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bad collapse. And again, 0 for 84.
Wow.
In a regular PGA Tour start.
34, $30 million in career earnings, probably $150 million in the bank. He's very sponsored. I don't feel bad for that, dude. Come on, he's got more money. Fairway Jesus, he's fine.
And now Keegan Bradley, it looks like Ryder Cup might be back on for him. So we'll see what's going on. Anyway, Bogusch has headlines for us as we finish out the show.
Guys, the team and the player had historic seasons to begin with, but they needed it to end this way. The Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, NBA champs, after surviving Game 7 with the Pacers 103-91. The team had won 68 games during the regular season, 16 games clear of the rest of the West, and they won those 68 games by a record differential. SGA was the MVP and the scoring champ, and now he's the finals MVP after 29 points and 12 assists last night.
No matter what, like, you go into every night wanting to win, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And tonight could have been one of those nights, but we found a way. I'm so proud of this group. I wouldn't have rather done it with any other group in the world. It feels good to be a champion.
His team was down 1 at intermission, even after Tyrese Haliburton injured his right Achilles in the first quarter. But they won the third period, 34-20, grew the lead to 22 early in the fourth, and then held on when Indy got as close as 10 with 2:16 to go. Without Haliburton, the Pacers got 40 bench points from Benedict Mathurin and T.J. McConnell, but only 40 from Siakam, Nembhard, Turner, and Nesmith. But no complaints from Rick Carlisle.
There's no feel-good scenario when you get to the finals and are unable to get it done. It really hurts on the one hand. On the other hand, this team has given all of Pacer Nation something to be very proud of.
We assume that Haliburton tore his Achilles and will miss most, if not all, of next season, but the Pacers have not said that officially yet. The Thunder celebration began last night with the second youngest champs ever struggling to open champagne bottles. It continues tomorrow with a parade through OKC.
Is that true? No.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do.
They couldn't get the champagne bottles open.
All these young kids didn't know how to get the tops off. Apparently, Caruso had to come in and show them what to do.
Were they doing it like with a saber? Like what?
They twist
Dramatically.
and turn and pull. They were all dumbfounded.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do not mess around with those things if you don't know what you're doing.
What, a saber or just a champagne?
Champagne bottle. You could definitely cause a lot of havoc.
I think that I always find it funny when someone's having like their first beer ever, and it's like, well, this one, it's probably going to taste like water, but sure, go for the next one. I don't know if it's going to be as good. Anyway.
The Rockets made a trade, as we've heard. They get Kevin Durant yesterday, Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick later this week, and 5 second-rounders going to Phoenix. KD's also expected to get a 2-year extension from Houston. The Phillies, a 7-1 win over the Mets on Sunday Night Baseball. They take 2 of 3 for a 1-game lead in the NL East. U.S. men's soccer wins its group of the Gold Cup with a 2-1 decision over Haiti and Arlington last night. They'll face Costa Rica in the quarters on Sunday. And the New York Liberty slumping for the first time this WNBA season. An 89-79 loss in Seattle means they've dropped 3 of their last 4. Guys, back to you.
Really quickly, Pearl, can we get an update? Because you told us that your car died this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So RIP to your Honda.
It's basically dead. I'm not going to pump it. It's a situation I could probably pay thousands to fix it. I should just put that money into a new car. Should I buy online or should I go to the old school, go to the dealership and say, what do you got on the lot?
I don't know. Are you a good negotiator?
No, I'm awful. I'll negotiate the opposite way. Am I a good negotiator?
Let me pay more.
Also, I live in Brooklyn. I mean,
what kind of lemon are they selling you?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I'm going to get in there and New York City is just, EJ, you grew up here. Everyone's a crook, right?
EJ doesn't even have a license.
Yeah, I don't have a license.
But
He's that afraid
you
of
know
cars.
this city, this is the most dishonest. How would I possibly trust a salesperson in New York City?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Yeah, we invented scamming.
Yeah. That's our claim to fame. We don't even mind it.
This one's got 50,000, 5,000 miles on it.
This is definitely a Birkin bag.
Brand new. Can we interest you in a Rolex watch? Thank you, EJ Stu.
yeah.
Thank you, Nico Scarlotto. So good to see you. Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, the Weedos.
You're in a 5-minute break.